One moment, please. Today's show is going to be a little different. All right. GoNintendo Podcast, webisode 970, the Glimmora Podcast. I promise I will explain my voice in a second. When Glimmora detects danger, it will open up its crystalline petals and fire beams from its conical body. 4'11", 99 pounds, male and female. It's a ore Pokemon. Abilities include toxic debris, scatters poison spikes at the feet of the opposing team when the Pokemon takes damage from physical moves. That is the end of the Pokemon section. So, yes, whether you're watching live, hello, live people. What am I doing? Hello, live people. Or you're listening to the recorded version, you already know things are different. If you're watching, you know more than my voice is different. So we got some housekeeping to do before we get it. I get it. Royal we gets into everything else. As some of you know, I have COVID. It is my first time having COVID. Um, Last week's podcast were the last few minutes I lived where I didn't have COVID. Um, After that show, it was a really nice day. We had the windows open. I think we had the windows open during that podcast. We had the windows open, whatever. And then later in the day, Mom Brain was like, "Oh, my throat's a little scratchy," and we were like, "Oh, it's allergies." You know, what else would, of course, be allergies? Like all of our friends were already complaining about allergies because the weather was so nice and they were outside or house was opened up. You know, it is what it is. And then the next day came around and Mom Brain was like, "I am sick." I was like, "Uh-oh, is this it?" And she took a test and she was like, "Crap." And she had COVID. First time for her having COVID. I was like, "Ah, that sucks." And I was like, "Well, this is really bad because, well, it was bad because she's got COVID, obviously." I was like, "I've never had COVID either, and we live in the same house with each other. We're on top of each other all the time in a respectful way." And I was like, "I don't know, maybe I'll get lucky enough that, I'll be good." So she went upstairs in quarantine. I was downstairs. And the whole day went by and I was good. I was like, "I feel fine. I feel totally normal." Next day, I woke up and I was like, "I feel good." So this is mm, Monday? Monday. I was like, "Yeah, I feel good." Um, and I did like most of my work Monday, got it halfway through the day. I'm like, "Yep, I think I'm gonna be all right." And then a couple hours later, I started to feel like a little sick and I had a little bit of a headache. And I was like, "Uh-oh, here it is." And then I started to get progressively sicker. Um, and I was like, "Well, this is it. I have COVID." I was like, uh, why even bother checking? I know what this is. And I remember playing Fortnite at night with friends that night, and I was telling them the story, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm feeling sick, but I'm okay." I was like, "It feels like a minor cold, whatever." I was like, maybe I'll be okay, and it won't be so horrendous." We finished playing Fortnite. Like 2 hours after that, I felt like garbage. I have never felt that bad. Just to be clear, we were vaxxed and all that stuff. And, you know, who knows if the vaccines kept us safe? We'd like to think they did for years and years. Just, we hit a point where it didn't work out for us. But boy, I had a fever the likes of which I've never felt in my life. I swear to God, it felt like my eyeballs were melting out of my head. I was losing my mind. I was delirious. And I was like, of all weeks for this to happen, it's got to be what will probably be the busiest week of the last few years. I'm going to say the last 8 or 9 years, 8 years at least. I was like, "Oh my God, why does it have to hit now? This is the worst timing it could possibly be." Um, so that's where we are. That was on Monday going into Tuesday for me. Right now, today is the best I've felt. I'd say, I was at, like, a 5.5, 6 yesterday as far as 1 to 10, 10 being I feel perfect. I'm about a 6, 6.5 today, so I feel like I got a cold. I obviously sound like I have a cold, but it's manageable and I can do stuff. So better than it was. Obviously, that's why you're just getting me on the podcast. Mom Brain is, I'd say, doing better than I am. She had COVID before I did, or at least showed signs before I did. Um, so she's taking it easy, resting upstairs. Obviously, she didn't work all week. Um, and we're not having people here because still testing positive for COVID. So that would not be the right thing to do. Is this the worst possible time for this to happen in terms of the podcast and discussion? Yes, it 100% is. I cannot tell you how angry it makes me that this is the situation because it would have been the podcast for discussions with people at the table. Um, and I wanted to have more people than usual because so much has happened and there's so much to discuss in so many ways. But that is not the way it happened, but I do have the chat since Mom Brain's not here. I have permanent chat right here next to me, which is wonderful. So I will be constantly looking at what you're saying. Just like right now, Nintendo says it's all right, RMC. Hopefully next week again can be back to discuss. That's the plan. And the plan again is to have some people who aren't normally here to share other insights and perspectives. But I got you guys. I got the sign up here in the behind me saying, I have COVID. Sorry about the voice. Also, Discord link is in the YouTube description. Come and join us so we can chat during the show because I got you guys as my backup. I always say you guys make the show better. And now I need you more than ever because I'll be bouncing ideas off of you. Um, so I didn't want to keep explaining every 5 minutes. I have COVID. That's why my voice is like this. So the signs back there, everybody will see. Want to do one audio explanation. I will probably joke about it as the show goes on, but there's that. That's out of the way. I will say COVID has the I don't know, it's just being sick in general, whatever, but I'm feeling it in my brain. Like I've been drained energy-wise. Like all this work, it's been nuts. So like I just doing two things at once is a lot for me right now, and it's a lot to focus on. Um, so this show may be scatterbrained. I'm gonna try my best but, we'll see where it goes. Uh, J-Bug says, "Brain fog is for real." Yeah, I got it. Ram, thank you for those comments. William says, hello, everyone. Just got home from a protest and now to warm up with a pod. Hope you're feeling better." I'm getting there, my friend. Yeah, Mom, Brain, and I are upset because we wanted to go to one of those protests as well. That was the plan, but we're not gonna go and affect people, so, uh, my sister's at one of them. Other people are there. But yeah. Thank you, Sinfield. Good to see you, Darmani. Um, Sinfield says, "Cut it short if you feel rough." I should be fine to do the podcast. Like I feel fine enough to do it. I can manage that. If my voice gets completely shot and like you can't understand me at all, then I'll pull back and we'll end it. But longtime podcast listeners know we've had episodes where I've almost completely lost my voice, and we had other people here, so it was okay. But this is not the worst my voice has ever been for a podcast, but it's pretty bad. So, yeah, this week, man, it was you ever get that feeling that something's out to get you? That was me this week. Um, I was, like, majorly depressed, and I was like, "How am I going to do this week of work? How am I gonna cover all this stuff?" Um, I don't have the energy. I feel horrendous. How am I gonna keep track of all that? I can't move at the speed I used to with, COVID. So I went on social media, and before the direct hit, like the day before, I apologized to everybody. I said, "Just letting you know, I got COVID. I'm not working like I usually do. I'll try my best." Um, so let me get into a few things. It's going to be a very different show from usual. There may be funny bits like we usually have, and who knows, but it's going to be very different. I'm just letting you know that for all the reasons I've stated, and for more we didn't even get into about the state of Nintendo, the state about what's going on so much. This show is going to be all over the place, but it will be almost entirely Nintendo focused, which is crazy for us. Let me say hello to the one and only Josh Grobot. How are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well.
Is that what I sound like?
You're right, Josh. That's what you sound like. You sound, I sound like you right now.
Thanks. Very cool.
It doesn't feel very cool, but I'm hanging in there.
Hanging and
You got
banging.
it, my friend. George is here. George, how are you doing? Buongiorno. Oh my God, George, are you sick too? Well, I sit right here at the table with you. I think I got COVID. Ah, George, I'm sorry. We didn't even think to check in on you. I apologize. I see you're still nursing that 7 Up over there, so hopefully you feel better. I don't know if lime has any healing property for COVID, but you keep sucking them down, George. Hopefully you're better come next week. Let me say hello to Kalas and Tall Show, Nico Darunia, Fluffernutter. How do I scroll? Oh, there we go. 10th Division, Ram J-Bug, William, Afternoobs, NinTimDo, Joe Shabadoo, SD, Eli, uh, Malakalo, Sneaker Hacks, Red Souza, Drake, whoever else comes in here, I'll be watching this time. So thanks for joining us live. If you can't stay live or listen to this episode because the sound of my voice, I get it. I got water. Let me take a sip right now. I waited to use nasal spray until 20 minutes before the show because I was really stuffed up and I wanted to make sure I was at full clear nasal passages for this show. So nice and clear as you can hear. So that's good. That worked out at least. Oh, Nikki Hill is here. Hello, Nikki Hill. I speak your name, or the Royal We speak your name, or Josh Grobot, myself, and George speak your name. Um, so like I said, a very hard week for me from a health perspective, from a work perspective, from a fan perspective. And we're going to get into all that too. But there are positives and good things I want to talk about before we get into everything else, because there's going to be plenty of negativity. Not some coming from me, certainly, but let me get to the good things first. I want to share publicly a huge, massive thank you to Quence and to NinTimDo. Um, Quence and NinTimDo helped me cover the direct live. Um, since I got staff for the site a few years ago, I almost always have help for coverage during the directs. It would have been no different this time, even if I didn't have COVID. But now, thanks, Nico Daruna. Now I need it more than or this week I needed it more than ever. And Quence has been there multiple times. He is the ringer. He knows the ins and outs of how we do it, and he is wonderful. Um, he stays around after the direct to do asset cleanup. So if you were following with us live and you were seeing the posts get flooded with screenshots and press release information and trailers and artwork and game boxes, that was all Quence. He was doing that while I was doing other things. So Quence is a killer. I am so lucky that he was here to do that. And with Nintendo, there's a phrase. Here's the brain fog. Uh, he leapt in head first. This was the first time he helped out on a Nintendo Direct. He has never done that before. I would imagine that would be incredibly scary. If he was extremely scared, he did a good job of hiding it. But Nintendo helped during the Direct. We passed stories off. It was me, and then Quence, and then Nintendo, and then me, and then Quence and Nintendo. Rinse and repeat for the whole time, and we were directing things in Discord while it was going on. So a huge thank you to NinTimDo for jumping in during the direct and helping us throughout that entire thing. I would have been lost without the two of them. That would have been the case if it was any regular direct. This is the biggest direct we've had in a long time. And again, I was sick for it, so I could not. Nintendo says, I didn't sleep the night before. Well, me too, just for a different reason. Um, could not be more appreciative of their help. It was a savior in multiple ways. So if you enjoyed the coverage GoNintendo did live during the direct and afterwards, as far as the coverage of assets and all that goes, you have them to thank. Nintendo and Quence uh, couldn't have asked for better help, to be completely serious. So thank you to them. Excuse me. I'll try not to cough too much into the microphone. Um, Also, this was a real heartbreaker for me. Um, I had an opportunity to play the Switch 2, not during an actual experience event, But before the public was open to the experience event, obviously I did not go because I have COVID. I can't tell you how demoralizing and depressing this week was from a work perspective. Um, because getting to go to that special opportunity is a really special thing. And anytime I get invited by Nintendo to go do anything, I'm not like, bowing down before Nintendo, praising the Nintendo lords, but I recognize that I'm in a place of privilege. Not everyone gets to do that. Very few people get to do that. I will never not look at that and be appreciative of it and recognize how amazing that is to have that opportunity and how important it is what I can do with that stuff, make connections. Um, Face-to-face interactions with people I never get to see, be they at Nintendo or other press members. So that's really important stuff, especially during this time, the launch of a new system. Could not be more important. I couldn't go. I could cry talking about it right now from frustration because if there's any event I don't want to miss, to just get my name out there and to get you guys coverage. And it was this one. It was this one. And when I got invited, um, I didn't know that I had COVID, but I knew MomBrain had COVID. And I was still fine. And I was like, I'm not a horrible person. I told my rep, my fiance has COVID. I don't feel right going. I'm not putting other people in harm's way. It's not right for me to do. Even if I tested and it came back clear, I'm not going. It's not the right thing to do. I'm not going to mask up and go. It's not the right thing to do. I'm not going to risk getting people sick. It was a detriment to GoNintendo. It was a detriment to my business. It was a detriment to you guys and your coverage. It is not the right thing to do. So regretfully, I told them I can't go. Thankfully, they allowed me to let Quence go in my stead. So big thanks to them for that. They did not have to do that. I know there's things behind the scenes that need to be approved. Thank you to Nintendo for allowing that. Quence, again, to thank him, worked his ass off. The man went to those events or went to go hands on or play Switch 2 hands on. Again, this was before the experience event started. So this was before the 4th. Um, he went and played everything. And that man turned around and put out 3 massive articles. They're live right now in a day's time, if that. And again, he helped out with the direct. The amount of work he put in, that could make me cry. He worked so hard for GoNintendo and for people reading GoNintendo. And he writes so elegantly and he's so knowledgeable, above and beyond what anything I could hope for. Amazing. So please go read his work. I've seen some of you already did. They're getting great traction. Some of you have left very nice comments. Thank you for that. Quence did an amazing job. Again, thank you to him for going. Again, thank you to Nintendo for allowing him to go in my place. I'm so upset I wasn't there. This week killed me physically because of COVID, mentally because of what had took place. Oh, it's been eating me alive. Um, Doug Bowser was there. Bill Trinan was there. Doug Bowser, you can't get any bigger than Doug Bowser as far as prominence in Nintendo, as far as Nintendo of America goes. He was there. I could have talked to him, man. Didn't get a chance to because I wasn't there. Couldn't be there. Killer. Bill Trinan, I like Bill. I've had many friendly conversations with Bill. But still, to get to see those people face to face, that's rare. Doesn't happen often. And amidst those opportunities, you stay fresh in people's brains. You make connections. Things happen. I didn't get to do that. It sucks. Quence did sneak a picture of the two of them playing Mario Kart together. So that's cool. That's in one of his features. So just so frustrating, my guys. Hello, Guy Bones. Good to see you. Guy Bones says that I'd say Guy Bones has a gif of Bill Trinan at the event, I believe. Guy Bones says that's a bummer missing out on the fun and connection can make your stomach drop. There will be other opportunities. Yes, Guy Bones. Hopefully there will be. Tall Show says, I know I did. Bill Trinan became the VP of Nintendo at some point. So yeah, frustrating week, but go read Quence's Hands On. He played everything, has a lot to say about all of it. I don't want to give away too much about Quence but I'd like to do more things with Quence, potentially podcast related. I'll leave it at that. I got to talk to him. Um, Quence also covered the site today. Quence's usual block is Saturday noon to 3. So he did a round on the site today too. I got up earlier and did a round before him, which I don't usually do, but there's more news than usual right now. And he's been doing so much. I didn't want him to be hit with another thing to do. So thankfully it seems like his load was light today. But yeah, it's been a lot. Thank you. Another very important thank you. Highly unlikely. Good to see you. Um, I promise we're going to get to all the Nintendo news. I promise, but it is important to me to do this stuff. I want to give another thank you to you guys, whether you're watching now, whether you're listening later, whether you were on the site during the week, whether you followed us on social media, Facebook, X, Threads, Blue Sky, um, wherever you follow us, Patreon, for $1. I don't know where that stuff is on the soundboard. I'm sorry. I got this. Oh, here you go.
For $1.
Thank you to you guys for your support. This is, you guys know, GoNintendo went away for a while years ago. We've been back for a long time. We got a great team, and I've been really proud of what we've been doing. This week was so frustrating from a work perspective because I wanted to be healthy to cover this. This was so important to me because I want to make sure we do the best we possibly can. And it was so frustrating to be not physically where I need to be to get this done. But I'd like to think I powered through and did the best I possibly could. And I had people there all week helping NinTimDo and Quence, like I said, but all the usual news staff were there taking blocks. We did everything we could. I'm very proud of what the team did. I'm extremely proud. But I want to thank you guys because you supported us huge in every way possible. I have to crunch the numbers officially. I'm letting it go till Sunday to find out for sure. But the amount of support, readers, visits, social media stats are insane. I don't think I've ever seen them this big. And by like a large margin. It was, it's the launch of a new system. I get it. There's excitement, but still, like, man, it was crazy. There's videos I put out on Threads or X. Just a quick little. I was like, I'm trying. You know me. If you follow Nintendo, you know me. If it's coming to Nintendo, if it has to do with Nintendo, third party, indie, first party, doesn't matter. If it's related to Nintendo, I'm covering it. Not to be rude, but if you don't care about this game, that game, the other game, I'm sorry. That's fine. Skip the story. But I'm here to keep the Nintendo fan informed with as much Nintendo news as they can stomach. So we're doing it all. So, like, there's the Nintendo Today app, and it had, every once in a while, it had a video that you wouldn't see somewhere else. They had a video of a Kirby in the Forgotten Land. And it was a clip they hadn't shared anywhere else. I was like, let me grab that. I screen recorded on my phone real quick and put it up on Threads and whatever. It became our most watched, shared, liked, disseminated thread by an insane amount. Hundreds of thousands. I don't know what made that one click, but holy crap. And there were multiple things like that across all social media. Sorry. The site's traffic was insane. I don't like being like, we did so good, traffic. I don't care if one person's reading. I don't care if a million people are reading. I'm there. I'm doing it. I've been here for 20 plus years. I'm going to keep doing it. But it is nice to see the support. It's great to see people are like, I can go here and get the news that I want. I can be informed. So thank you. It was very humbling. And I don't really ever talk like this. But because of my health situation, I worked my ass off. I really worked hard. I felt like shit. I'm just being honest. I felt like shit. I did not know how I was going to do it. There are people in way worse situations every day with way more hardships, and I am not comparing myself to them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying for what I do and how I do it and what is important, this was a very hard week. This was a very stressful week, but I'm very proud of what happened. Uh, Part of me feels gross because I'm like, I shouldn't have pushed. I should give myself some grace. I should have taken breaks. But longtime GoNintendo fans know that's not how I operate. Hello, Radio Cassette. Good to see you. That's not how I operate. I know I look at GoNintendo from the perspective of if I was a Nintendo fan. I think about what I would want and where I would want to go to get news, and I try and create something like that. I like things that are dog and pony shows, very modest, very bare bones, but they get you the information. There's some sort of sense of community, like a humble element that's genuine. That's what I like. Some sort of connection. That's what I like. So that's what I've always tried to do with GoNintendo, and it really clicked for people this week. And I know I pushed myself too hard. I know I made myself, COVID is COVID. It's going to be with me for a while. And I know it could have very long lasting effects. I'm not saying what I did is right. Probably it was wrong, but it's what I did. I am cognizant of my choices and I did it. I'm proud of what I put out there. And I'm thanking you guys for the support. You don't have to know my struggles and operate based on that. You just want to know what's going on with Nintendo, and you come to GoNintendo, be it on social media, the podcast, the site, whatever. You chose us. Thank you so much for doing that. It's been crazy. Biggest story of the week. Nintendo partnering with the Rizzler to spread the word on Nintendo. That wasn't the biggest story, but that was very big. Just to interject a little humor, that story we did. So if you didn't see it, I get it. There's been a lot of news, but Nintendo has their partners, their social media influencers that they team with from time to time. And it's whoever, they team with regular celebrities like Kenan Thompson or Zelda Williams in the past or Brie Larson, but they also team with social media influencers and stuff like that. And they teamed with the Rizzler, who's part of the Costco guys. Go look at the article on the site if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as who the Costco guys and the Rizzler are. It's too much lore to get into. I wrote about it in the post for those who don't know. But they Red Souza, there he is in the chat. I've been doing that to MomBrain all week, the Rizzler post. I've been doing it all week. So, man, brain fart. I'm gone. So I posted about that story and I was like, I know this is so stupid, but it is news. And I know people are going to gravitate to this because they're going to be like, there's going to be people who are like, this is stupid funny, or like, this is great. And other people are like, Nintendo's dumb. And other people are like, this just shows what's wrong with Nintendo. I just knew people would talk about it. If I was just a Nintendo fan, I'd want to know about it. Do I like the Costco guys and the Rizzler? Both ironically and unironically, yes. I can laugh at them, and anything that makes me laugh is good. I'm not like, look at these stupid idiots. It's just a stupid, fun thing, harmless on the internet, and I like that kind of thing. So, and the Rizzler is my favorite. So, putting that story out there, I'm telling you, literally, again, I'm not trying to sound braggadocious or anything like that. Just being factual. Hundreds of thousands of impressions on the story about the Rizzler. I saw our post about the Rizzler made it to the Nintendo, or just the regular Nintendo subreddit. And I went in and I left on Reddit, obviously. I went in and left a comment and I was like, so honored that out of all the things I covered this week, the story about the Rizzler made it here. So I give that 5 big booms this week. But yeah, it's not the biggest story. We had, actual Nintendo. That is Nintendo news, but we had actual Nintendo news. Big preamble out of the way. Only a half hour. That wasn't too bad. NinTimDo says, I would have wanted that job when I was a kid. The Rizzler is living the dream. Hell yeah, he is. The kid, I can do it visually for the watchers, but for the listeners, the Rizzler, I'm not going to go into the lore because this whole podcast will turn into Costco guys Rizzler stuff. But the thing the Rizzler does is the Riz face. He puts his finger up to his mouth and does like the shush. You know what that is. Then he takes his index finger and drags it across his jawline and does that over and over again. It's like he's spamming emotes in Fortnite. That's pretty much all he does, and he mugs it up for the camera. By the way, this is a little kid. I don't know how old he is. What is he? 10 at most? Maybe he's 11. I don't know. It's a little kid. Hi, Colma. And yeah, he's like Nintendo said, he's living the dream. This kid's making bank. I hope his parents are taking care of. Well, obviously they're taking care of the money, but I hope they're gonna, do right by him with it. And now he's a Nintendo partner playing Donkey Kong Country Returns HD on TikTok and getting paid for it. And he was on the Tonight Show. Yeah, kids living a dream. Good for him. Good for him. Nikki Hill says he's actually 38. Nikki Hill's in the chat again, if you don't know. Clearly, if I take big coughs, I can get a better voice. So try and do that every so often. Annie Milonakis, there you go, Colma. Yeah, another one who I don't remember. Oh, is that progeria? The disease progeria, where you look young but you are old, or is that where you look old? No, where you're young but you look old. Where you're young but you look old. But Annie Milonakis is old, but he looks young. Does progeria go both ways? I don't know. Super Sanchez says could have been worse. They could have partnered with Baby Gronko. You never know. You never know. So yeah, big story for us. But yes, there was Nintendo news. I guess I could do this. There you go. We're gonna cut it out there. Big week for Nintendo. I want to preface my Nintendo coverage by saying the following. I'm not going to blame any of this on COVID. I believe I'm of sound mind and body. That said, I was like, I should make notes and I should write down points that I want to make. And then I was like, that's not me. I'm off the cuff. If I want to write a feature for the site, then that is the time for that. Here's where it's open opinion discussion. Obviously, it's great to have people to bounce off of. I don't have anyone here with me. I have you guys in the chat. And in the future, we will have people to bounce things off of. Royal we again. But there are going to be things that I say. I will do this as I do everything with GoNintendo. I will take a level-headed approach. I will always share my honest opinion. I will say things that may upset people in one way or another. My intention is never to upset, but I will always be honest. I will say, since this is all off the cuff, some of it may come off as inelegant. Some of it may not be worded as great as it could be. Some of it could be thought out better. Some of it I may think it back on after I do the show and reflect upon it and think differently later. And I'll tell you that next episode. So all I'm asking for is a little bit of grace. I'm keeping an eye on the comments. I'm not going to get everything right. Not going to get everything wrong. But a lot of this is opinion where there is, to at least some degree, no right or wrong. You can feel how you want to feel about any of this. And while you may get to those feelings through factually incorrect information, all I can do is give you the facts and you make up your mind from there. So give me some grace. I may be inelegant, but we got stuff to talk about and I got opinions to share. Joe Shabadoo, hello, says keep it 100. NinTimDo says all facts, no cap. That's right. Let's get into the news. How do we feel about this? Gonna ask you a question. Yeah, I was thinking like Nintendo says I'm gonna curse. I'm thinking about it. Like just not holding back for this episode. Whatever. I don't care. It's happened on the show before. I think it happened last week. Dude dropped an F-bomb or something. I don't curse often in real life. I only curse when I feel the need to curse. So yes, let's say this. Or let me ask you this question. As I said, do you think this was one of the worst, if not the worst week Nintendo has ever had? During the window of the actual Direct, like when the Direct was taking place, that hour, I do not think it was bad for Nintendo at all. Couple gripes here and there, the usual stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary. I think that Direct went great as far as what was shown game-wise, the breakdown of the system, all that. I thought it was a great Direct. Right after that Direct, literally the 5 minutes after that Direct, that's when the shit hit the fan. And it's just, I feel it's been a nightmare scenario for Nintendo since then. I'm not saying I feel that's warranted. I'm saying as an outsider looking in, I feel like they are dealing with a nightmare scenario. They're dealing with a situation that you really would not want going into the launch of a new system in many respects. Not all respects, but in many respects. And there's so many facets of this to break down. I'm going to go on so many tangents as I go through the news because things are going to hit me and I'm going to want to talk about it. We're going to break it all down. 10th Division says high as ever, then bam. William says sadly, yes. Jesus says, yeah, but some of it is out of their control, but definitely some misinformation on their part. And of course, people love to hate Nintendo regardless. All you guys are right about that stuff. Misinformation out the wazoo. Nintendo did things to shoot themselves in the foot. The internet at large took information and ran with it that was incorrect. The internet always internets. The internet loves to get stuff wrong and run with it and not correct it. And what happens when you try and correct things in this situation? You get called a corporate shill. You get called a fanboy. It's very hard to push back on certain things because there are things that people are upset about, and I get, and there's things that people are upset about, and they're upset about imaginary things that do not exist and are factually incorrect. But the narrative is out there, and the narrative matters more than what the truth is. Not to me, but to many people. They latch onto this piece of negativity, this piece of bad news. Doesn't matter if it's true or not. They pick that, and that's it. They're off to the races, and they'll hear no different. And as we all know, the truth will never reach as far as the incendiary lies or misinformation or vitriol will. Never works out that way. Misinformation because people are genuinely wrong and didn't know it. Purposeful misinformation from Nintendo, but again, or from fans about Nintendo, but again, Nintendo did things to shoot themselves in their foot. So, okay. Hello, Marsboro. Good to see you. I'm going to bring up, we're going to start with the press release that Nintendo put out. Deuce texting me, I think. No, why did it say that? Weird. That's weird. We're going to start with the press release that they put out after the direct because it's a nice refresher for me on what I want to cover and all that stuff. And again, you guys drop your comments if there's something you want to say. I'll keep glancing over. This is great having us here, and we'll take it as we go. All right, so Nintendo started off the press release following the Nintendo Direct with information that they did not share in the Direct. Nintendo shared the June 5th release date of the Switch 2. So, man, that's cool. Here's a new, what are we at? What was it? April? What was it? April 2nd? Seems so long ago. They did the Direct, and then they're like, there was speculation out there that the system would launch somewhere in May and June. But that was just speculation, and Nintendo was like, hey, June 5th. And I was like, holy crap, man. That's awesome. Like, to go from, Nintendo in January was like, here's basic Switch. We'll see you in April with all the details. And you're like, oh, I gotta wait till April. Now April came here really quickly. And they're like, here's a lot of information, and the system's coming out June 5th. We're less than 2 months out from getting this thing, unless things change in the United States. That's for later discussion. But man, I mean, as a fan, that's pretty cool because you're used to waiting it's different with the Switch because Nintendo was in such a bad situation with the Wii U. But before that, you usually hear about a system, close to a year before you're actually going to get it. Yes, with rumors we heard about it, but as far as actual reveal from Nintendo to launch, this turnaround is crazy. But yes, if you're looking to buy a Switch 2, these next couple months are going to drag on. So, press release starts with the June 5th date, but then includes something that wasn't in the Direct. The price. We got the price of the system. The Switch 2 bare bones. So just the Switch 2 itself is $450. Nintendo says $449. Those numbers for anyone always matter. $399 looks better than $4. Anything $99 looks better than the next dollar up. Doesn't matter how silly of a difference it is. That makes a difference in people's minds. It really does. That's why you see it all the time. So Nintendo says the Switch 2 is $449.99. That gets you the Switch 2, 2 Joy-Con, whatever, the grip, whatever you got with the Switch, except now it's the Switch 2. They are also doing a Switch 2 Mario Kart World Bundle. That is priced at $500. So before talking about the price of Mario Kart World, did I say tour? This is a brain fog thing. I keep doing that. Sorry. If I said it, I apologize. Mario Kart World Switch 2 bundle, $500. If you know the base price of the Switch 2 is $450, and you see the bundle with Mario Kart World for $500, no matter what, you would think that's a good deal for the game and the system together if the base is $450. We're going to get into the talk about Mario Kart World's price later, I promise. But just the pricings of the system. I will tell you my reaction and then what I saw online. Leading up to the reveal of the Switch 2, analysts were talking all about the price of the system, where they expected it to be. Every analyst out there said $400 to $500. Some of them were closer, $400, $450. Some of them were closer, $450, $500. Go back and look at our posts. No analyst was like, this is going to be below 4. No analyst said this is going to be above 5. They were all in that 4 to 5 spot. They saw where Nintendo could make it work within all that. I thought, now, here's the thing. As a consumer, I want the system to be $5. I want to pay $5 and get a Switch 2. Of course. I want it to be as cheap as possible. As a rational consumer, I know that won't be the case. Looking at the Switch 2 price, my genuine reaction was, yeah, that's about what I figured. I wish it was $4 and $450, but $450 and $5 this with the Mario Kart World Bundle. Yeah, I get it. I don't love it. I'm not upset about it. It is what it is. It's what I pretty much expected. I was like, I thought to myself, internet will probably react in the same way. I'm like, there's always going to be the people who are like, this is horrible, death to Nintendo. But others who are like, yeah, that's pretty much what we expected. Because I looked at it like this. Yes, the Switch is 8 years old now. And that's priced at $300. The Switch OLED is $350. So I looked at the $350 price of the Switch OLED, and I'm like, I don't see them doing a Switch 2 for $400. I'm like, just $50 over the Switch OLED for like a brand new system, bigger screen, way more powerful. Like, that's the stuff that we knew. The rumored mouse controls, like just $50 more to get that did not seem feasible to me. It's just the way I was thinking. I'm being honest. It didn't seem feasible to me. I expected $100, if not more. I was like, that just seems like what it would be. We're talking about the next generation of systems, It's with Nintendo, it's with Sony, it's with Xbox. You go to the next generation of systems, you're going to pay considerably more for that next installment. And Nintendo has always been the company that puts out the more affordable of systems. They try and keep the family-friendly price. I don't want to say family-friendly, but family welcoming price range. But, that also changes as time goes on. So what what is seen as feasible for a company now is not what it was 10 years ago, because a business is a business is a business. There are plenty of businesses that don't give a crap about saving the consumer money, and there are businesses that do. Nintendo, I would argue, usually tries to save the consumer some money, but they still want to make a profit, so they find some middle ground in there. What Nintendo did 8 years ago on the Switch, you can't do now. That's just with new hardware in there, you can't do that. It doesn't make any sense. A business is a business is a business. I'm not saying I like it. Again, I want to pay less, but I'm recognizing the situation. It's going to be more expensive. Have companies gone too far before? Sure. Look at Sony with the PS3. What was it? Was that 500 or 600 bucks? Whatever it was. That was major sticker shock then. And people were like, nope, not buying that. And Sony was like, these are going to fly off the shelves. They said that, paraphrasing. But Sony was like, there's not going to be any left on the floor of stores. They're going to be gone. So Nintendo. So fans went to stores and took pictures of the piles of the PS3s up there and like, look, they're not buying. Sony ate their words, struggled for a bit in that generation. By the end of that generation, they got neck and neck with Xbox, if not surpassing them a little bit. The rest is history. They went on to wipe the floor with Xbox. So we've seen those moments before. Many people feel Nintendo was off the mark with the 3DS pricing. That could be just based on price alone. That could be on people not being interested in the 3D aspect of it, coupled with the price, lackluster software. So they say at launch, people are like, I don't want Pilot Wings. I'm not paying that much money for Pilot Wings. Whatever it was, Nintendo missed the mark with that one. And months later, they readjusted the price. It happens. For me, with the Switch 2, I did not see the price as crazy. I saw it as, yeah, that's about what I thought. Less would be better, because less is always better as a consumer as far as price goes. But yeah. Now, hi, Video Game Guru. Thanks for coming by. Yes, Video Game Guru says $600 for PS3. So yeah, the timing on that, and as in when it released and that price, that's pretty bonkers. Consider they released the PS5 Pro for $700. What, last year? I still think that 700 is wild. But people seem to be okay with it. It's selling. And for Sony to make the PS3 price just $100 less than that so many years ago, that's a crazy one. That's like the one to point to be like, this is when a company was completely out of step with their consumer. So the consumer reaction to, or the fan reaction or the gamer reaction to Switch 2 price. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think the reaction was all that bad, but when the Mario Kart World price came out, like 5 minutes, or we figured it out 5 minutes or so after the price of the Switch 2 was revealed, the price of Mario Kart World enraged people so much that they became that much more upset about the price of the Switch 2. There were people who were always upset about the Switch 2 price. Don't get me wrong. But I just think the Mario Kart World situation made people hypersensitive to price even more, and it just made them that much more angry. So people are now I would say, I am surprised with how angry they are with the price. You are not wrong to say you think the Switch 2 is too expensive. That is your opinion. Your opinion is not wrong because it's an opinion. If you don't think the system is worth that much, if you don't want to spend that much, God bless you. That's fine. You're not wrong. I can't say you're wrong. That's not a thing to be wrong about. You make that decision. But I will say I'm surprised that many people are pushing back so hard on it. Don't think they're wrong to do it. I was just surprised. I did some polls on social media to see where people were at. I got about roughly 63%. This is both polls I did. I did Threads and Twitter, X. I'm just calling it Twitter. Whatever. I'm done. It was roughly 63% when votes were final. 63% said price is fine. The rest said price is too high. So it's like, what was that? 2/3 are okay, 1/3 isn't. I don't have any evidence of this, but that seems about where you'd be with any system, right? Like it seems like what it's going to be. There's always going to be people who are upset. Unless Nintendo was like $300, then yeah, it'd probably be like a 85 to 90% where people are like, that's a great price. I would imagine the usual ratio is somewhere between 60 to 70% of people are like, yeah, the price is fine. Again, I'm pulling that out of thin air. I got nothing to say. Here's why I think that. I'm just telling you what I think. Darmani says it's in that price point, and so in comparison, its only advantage is portability and exclusive. Let me take a sip of water. I apologize. I was getting scratchy throat, parched. So yeah, people are coming to that conclusion about the price in whatever way they see fit. I was having a conversation with somebody else in the industry about the Switch 2 price. I won't name names. Well, we were talking about the reaction. I've talked to a few people. I've talked to friends. This is also a friend, but there's someone who works in the industry. Talking about the reaction. And I will point out what you guys are saying in the chat. I don't know how much I agree with this. I do agree with it to a degree. I just don't know what that degree is. A lot of people have been saying comments online, a lot of them are done by bots and bot accounts to stir up controversy and anger and all that stuff, vitriol. I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that's the case. Happens in social media all the time. I do not know to which degree that is. I'm going to go with the good faith effort of most of them are actual people. So the conversation I was having with a friend in the industry, tell me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, if you got another viewpoint. This is not the only viewpoint, by the way. We were saying when it comes to something like the PlayStation or the Xbox, when it comes to price, it seems like your average gamer, so the people who are watching the presentations and talk about games all the time and consider themselves gamers and gaming is their main hobby, when they look at the price of a system, still to this day, more or less, they are like, I pay price for graphics. At least that's their number one. They're like, more price, better graphics. So if I pay a premium price, I'm getting premium graphics. You see that with the PS5 Pro, $700, the best of the best when it comes to graphics for PS5. Well, as I said, I don't have the statistics, but from what we've seen, I believe launch sales, or I believe where PS5 Pro is at now, it's below what PS4 Pro is at. It's tapering off. So it's not launch aligned anymore, but it's not doing horrendously. So an audience is there for the $700 machine. People look at graphics and they say, better graphics, high price. These make sense to me. When you go to price, Switch 2 obviously has better graphics than Switch. I would say it's no slouch in graphics department, but it's not going to measure up to Xbox Series X or PS5, especially not PS5 Pro. People look at Switch 2 price, they see graphics that are PS4, Xbox Series S at best graphics. And they're like, no, 450 is too high for that. Why would I pay that? That's what is Nintendo doing? So they see graphics and price and they're like, no, that doesn't make sense to me. And they get angry about that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I personally disagree with that, but I'm not saying that's wrong. When I look at price of any system, I factor in everything. For me, price of Switch, I look at all the things that, or Switch 2, I look at all the things that it has, the bigger screen, the improved Joy-Con, the mouse controls. Well, most important, and the improved horsepower, without a doubt, that's still factored in. May not be as good as PS5 or Xbox Series X, but I look at it. It's better than Switch. NVIDIA says it's 10 times better. I don't really give a shit. It's better. You can look at it and see that it's better graphics. I was doing air quotes. I do believe it's better graphics. It's capable of more. Doesn't mean every game's going to be prettier. But I also look at things like the portable nature of the system. Being able to dock it and play on your TV and take it on the go and cramming that into one form factor, that affects price. Undoubtedly. That fitting all that into where it is and what it does and how you can move with it, price is impacted by that. Price on any system is impacted by all its pieces and parts together. You can't just look at graphics and say that's where the price is going to. But for the consumer or for the gamer, I shouldn't say the average consumer because, the average gamer might look at the original Switch and be like, that's garbage, overpriced. The Switch sold 153 plus million. You listen to gamers online, you think it's the worst system ever, and nobody plays it. The expanded audience, that's the main people there. The people on Reddit and social media and GoNintendo. Me. We're the upper echelon, not upper echelon. We're the 4 times removed people. We're the hyper gamers. We're the ones that are laser focused on what's going on with games. We represent a very small part of the people that are playing games. So we're not representative of what the greater gaming audience says. So when we're saying these things like, graphics are why I'm okay with price, and that's that. I don't know where that fits in with the average consumer. Do they look at everything? Do they not care? Plenty of people that bought the Switch do not care. They bought it because it had Animal Crossing. They bought it because it has Mario Kart. They bought it because it had games they want to play. They bought it because it was good for family. They bought it because they like Nintendo's brand. They bought it because of multiplayer or whatever. The vast majority of people did not buy Switch because they were like, it has this horsepower for this amount of money. So when you look at the Switch 2 price, I would say it's unfair to look at the system and just say, here's what the graphics are. The price isn't warranted. I don't think you're being honest with yourself. But as I said, it's your opinion. It's not wrong. You do what you want with your opinion. If you want to have that opinion and you don't want to spend your money based on that opinion, that's fine. I will never tell you you are wrong. I personally think how you got to that is wrong, but it's not my job, nor is it my place to tell you how to spend your money. So do what you want. But that's my opinion. Hi, Turbo. Good to see you. Turbo says, we don't exactly know the specs, but to me, it seems to compare favorable with handheld PCs. The Fear Axis or Fire Axis, however I'm supposed to say it, the Civilization developers, they said they were something like pleasantly surprised or pretty pleased with the power of the Switch 2, and they said they put it in line with a mid-tier PC. What mid-tier PC means to them, I don't know, but they're making games for PC. They said mid-tier PC. So you're talking about PC stuff. There's a statement that I saw from developers. That's what I can give you. Fluffinator says, I can't wait to play Civ 2 on my knees. That can mean so many things, but I know you mean mouse controls on your knees, or perhaps portable on your knees, or perhaps portable with mouse controls on your knees. Or it means something completely different, and you're having some special time with Civ 7, but you do you, boo. So yeah, me on just a personal level, it breaks my heart when I see people talking about pricing me like, Nintendo has overpriced this system. This is ridiculous. Look at these graphics, and I got to pay $450 for this. This is bullshit. And I'm like, I want to talk to those people and be like, again, I don't want to tell them they're wrong because it's their opinion, but I want to be like, here's how I feel about it and how I come to where I'm thinking. Maybe you'd like that information and you can mull it over and you don't change your mind, and that's fine. We set our parts. We go our separate ways. You vote with your wallet. I vote with mine. It is what it is, and that's what it will forever be. Oh, Nikki Hill posted Sally in the Discord. If you like dogs, go hang out in the Discord. Yes, I see people in chat are talking about how NVIDIA confirmed that it has DLSS, Switch 2 has DLSS, and Nintendo said 4K, can do up to 120 frames per second. Honestly, I was surprised by how much Nintendo talked about specs in the trailer or in the Direct, and how much they talked about it afterward. They obviously had a stopping point where people were asking too much of Nintendo as far as the questions about tech, and Nintendo was like, we're done. We think NVIDIA is going to talk more about it. And then NVIDIA put out a blog, which we shared, so you can go read that if you want. But they talked about it more than I thought. I was surprised. I'm surprised. I thought there was a good chance of it being 4K. Very happy it is. I would have bought it if it was 480p. You know me. I don't care. I want to play games. And that's not an opinion towards Nintendo and their hardware. That's an opinion towards every game system. I don't care if PlayStation is 480p. I don't care if Xbox can only be hooked up to an analog TV. I don't care if Nintendo only makes a black and white system again that has no backlight. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I play video games. I don't care if they look like Atari. I don't care if they look like PS5 Pro. I do not care. I want to play games. I enjoy video games. That's the end of it. But that is me. Hello, Solid Master Link. So price reaction, I think, honestly, is where it would have been, regardless of the Mario Kart World pricing debacle. It's just when that came out, like, shit shifted into a different gear. So I'm going to pivot into that now. I apologize. Mario Kart World looks fantastic as far as the game. Man, does it look cool. Well, I'm going to talk about all that stuff too. I don't know how long this podcast is going to be, but if there's ever going to be a podcast where it's really long, this is the one. We'll talk about the game itself, but with so much controversy going on and Nintendo in so much trouble right now, this is where the focus of the news is this week. This is what we got to talk about. Mario Kart World, the price was revealed. Here's where some misinformation comes in. The price of Mario Kart World is $80 physical. Nintendo website says $79.99. We're talking about in the United States, obviously. It's about $80, with tax, what, 84 or something like that. Maybe a little bit more. So $80. Was I surprised? Yes. Do I like it? No. What I will say is, and those who follow GoNintendo for years know that what I'm about to say is true of me. I am not hail corporate. I will defend companies' moves when I think they make sense, not because I think the company needs defending, but we're having discussions about games. If I have an opinion that goes against the grain, I'm going to share it. I'm not going to hold back because I'm afraid or that I don't want to get called a fanboy or a corporate shill. If I have a different opinion, I'm going to share it. My game price thing is the same as my system price thing. I would love for games to be cheaper. We are in a wonderful space where games can be cheaper. You get pre-owned games. There are indies and third parties where prices are very cheap. Look at Deltarune. Deltarune's going to be $25 for the whole game. We're going to have 4 chapters when it launches June 5th. 2 of them are out now. There's going to be more chapters when the game finishes, but you will only ever pay $25. The chapters that come out after that, you'll get as additional free add-ons. So you're not going to pay more than $25. There are games you could get for $5 nowadays. So it's great to have an industry where games can be $5. Games can be free. Fortnite's free. It's very nice to have a very wide range of high quality experiences as far as gaming goes and then price goes. That's great. I don't like $80 prices. I don't like $70 prices. I don't like $60 prices. I want games to be cheap. But this is where I'm talking about my long history and stance on this stuff. I recognize businesses, first and foremost, have to make money. That's the whole point of a business, at least the vast majority. If they don't make money, they can't put it into the company, and they can't continue to do what they do. Do some companies grossly manage their money and grossly give profits to the higher-ups? Yes, 100 bazillion percent. Sorry, Nikki Hill. Yes. I do not believe Nintendo to be a company like that. Maybe a little bit more now with how the top brass is. I don't think so, but it's different from when Iwata was there, certainly. But it's still not nearly as bad as many other companies in gaming. I'm not saying that makes it good, but it's not anywhere near as bad, I personally feel. Also, when I look at game prices, it's the same as when I look at movie ticket prices. Or not, I shouldn't say movie ticket prices. Buying films or buying games or buying, any form of entertainment. Some of that money those funds go to the people who are making those, the artists and the developers and the musicians and all that. So there are things that I think are too expensive. There are things where I'm okay. But usually I'm more happy to vote with my wallet and buy things that people may think are overpriced, A, because I want them, B, because I'll be fortunate enough to be in a position where I can spend the money. I'm not saying I have a ton of money because I don't, but I'll be in. There are things that are outpriced for me, and I can't get them, and it is what it is. But when I do spend money, I take some solace in knowing like my money is at least part of my money is going to the people who help make those things and build them. So I'm okay with that. Now all the way back to Mario Kart World, the $80. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. I don't like it. Am I okay with it? I know people are like, don't get it because you're going to show Nintendo you're okay with it, and then every other company's going to do it. I'm not that much against it that I wouldn't do it. So I'm okay with it. I would say I'm begrudgingly okay with it. And this would be the case regardless of the company. And you've heard me say this in the past. There are indie games I would buy at double, triple the price. Just because I'm not interested in a game or the franchise or the developer. 1000 Times Resist, I love that game. I'd pay for that game 4 times over what the asking price is because I feel it's worth it. I want to support that team. That's just how I decide to vote with my wallet. So, I'm begrudgingly okay with the $80 price. I 100% understand the pushback on it. It's especially hard on the Nintendo side of things because Nintendo kept away from the $70 price tags for so long. Then they went there with Tears of the Kingdom. And yes, it was like, oh, now Nintendo's going $70. And there was people upset about it. And I get it. 100%. I get it. Again, I'm of a different mindset. I didn't like it, but I'm okay with it. I understand it. But I completely agree with the people who are upset about that. The most bitter part of all this, the toughest pill to swallow, is Nintendo was one of the last to go to $70. And now they are the first to go to $80. So the amount of anger that brought out in people, I get it. You're not getting any complaints from me. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I can tell you why I feel I'm okay with it personally, but I don't think you're wrong in the least. Now, I don't agree with how everyone has voiced their disapproval of this. I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing your opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with complaining about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with going on social media platforms or wherever and sharing your 2 cents. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. As they say nowadays, go off, king. Whatever. That is your right. And it's your right to do it in whatever way you see fit. I will say there are people who are talking about it in ways that I find gross because they're attacking people, developers. They're using some really gross language. And I'm not like gross towards Nintendo language. I mean like offensive language. I'm not okay with that. I'm letting you know I'm not okay with that. I'm not going to tell you you can't do it because you can do it. But so the argument, just the base argument of this game is too expensive. Nintendo, you've taken it too far. I'm with you. I don't personally feel that way, but I'm with your feeling on that. I will stand side by side with you. I'll be upfront and tell you I'm okay spending the $80, but yes, I am also shocked that they're making the move. Now, why did they make the move? We don't know. If you see anybody telling you they know why Nintendo made the move, they are lying to you because Nintendo has not said. No one knows. We can speculate until, I was going to say the end of time, but maybe when Nintendo tells us why, but what's more likely, the end of time or Nintendo tells us probably the end of time. We can speculate forever, but we do not know. People have said it's because Nintendo's greedy. Maybe. I don't know. I can't tell you you're wrong. I don't know. People have said it's because Nintendo feels this is a premium experience and it's worth that money. Sure, that could be it too. I don't know. People have said this is Nintendo getting ahead of the impact of tariffs. That could be it too. I don't know, but that could be it. What do we know for a fact? We know that Nintendo moved Switch 2 production to Vietnam over a year ago to supply Switch 2 systems to the US to get around tariffs that they knew were going to be hitting China, or things being imported from China. We know that's a fact. So we know Nintendo has been thinking about tariffs. Any business thinks about tariff when you do worldwide business. You have to. So Nintendo was like, oh, there's going to be issues with tariffs. And US is a big market for us. Potentially the biggest, probably the biggest by far. Let's avoid that issue, manufacture Switch 2 in Vietnam, get it into the US. We don't have to worry about tariff percentages. We're good. We're going to get into all that too. But yeah, pricing of Mario Kart World could be related to tariffs. Sure. All valid points. We don't know. Will Nintendo tell us maybe, but who the hell knows? So I get the anger. I totally get it. Did Nintendo see the pushback coming? I gotta say, I don't think they saw it being as loud and prevalent as it has been. It has 100% dominated the conversation. The minute after the Direct to now, the majority of discussion on social media platforms and websites has been negativity. At least from the customer, the site visitor, the social media user. It has been dominated by negativity, anger, frustration, down with Nintendo messages, hashtags that were trending, Nintendo's Treehouse Live chat being flooded with messages about pricing. It has overtaken the conversation in a split second, and it has not stopped. The biggest influencers out there are talking about this stuff, and not just in gaming. We're talking about just internet commentators in general. Plenty of gaming channels, yes, or gaming influencers, yes, but like Moist Critical did a thing about it. I don't like how he did it. I'm not a fan of Moist Critical in general. It's whatever. He can do whatever he wants. Philip DeFranco, who does news and sometimes entertainment news, he talked about it. This is getting out into the greater atmosphere of the internet. This is being talked about. This made Switch 2 pricing, not Mario Kart World pricing, but Switch 2 pricing made it out to like regular news stuff because of the tariff situation. So all this pricing talk and negativity, it's out there. It's taken over the conversation. It is crazy. Video Game Guru says they've seen it so much as they didn't put the price in the Direct. Yeah, I've seen that discussion too. They're like, Nintendo knew people would be upset about the price. That's why they didn't put it in the Direct. Again, if people are saying that, that's an opinion. That's not a fact. Do I disagree? I don't know. Here's what I can tell you. Nintendo knew tariffs were coming. Nintendo has been trying to avoid tariffs. Nintendo is probably like, holy crap, we're in trouble with these tariffs. And then they knew Trump was going to announce tariffs the day of the Direct. And they were like, what are we going to do? Should we delay the Direct for like a week later? Here's because, then they could have put a price in there. But they still couldn't have. I'm going to get to that in a second. So Nintendo was like, maybe we should wait until the last possible second. And they had all these potential ideas of where they were going to go with price based on the information they knew at the time of the Direct. So that's why it wasn't in the Direct and it was in the press release right after. Is that the case? I don't know. It's just another line of thinking. Nintendo didn't put it in there because they knew people would be upset. Maybe Nintendo didn't put it in there because they were undecided up to the last minute. Maybe. Look at what's going on with Nintendo right now. We don't know. We don't know when we're going to be able to pre-order this thing because of this situation. So who knows? And then the misinformation that is spread after it. That's the point that kills me. That's the point that pisses me off. Be upset, angry about the price of Mario Kart World and the Switch 2. Just say it factually. Say the game is $80. Say the system's $450 to $5. Be angry about it. Scream about it. I know you've seen it where people are like, Switch 2 games are going to be $90 to $100. Mario Kart World is going to be $90. Mario Kart World's $90 and it's probably going to be $100 digital. What the fart are you talking about? Where are you getting this from? Some angry influencers or some influencers out to rile people up because they know it gets attention ran with something they knew was a falsehood, or they believed a falsehood and never fact checked it. And they just put it out there because it's the hook, it's the soundbite, it's the bit that gets people riled up, and they share your video and they talk in the comments and it gets them views, and that's what they do. Nintendo is not selling Mario Kart World for $90. It is $80. What will it be digitally in the States? I don't know. It's not going to be more unless Nintendo changes it with the tariff situation. We'll see what happens there. But as it stands now, it's not going to be more. This $90 thing is completely wrong. We don't know where it came from. If I had to guess, someone saw that it is going to be sold physically for 90 euros. And that's spun off into $90. Euros are different than dollars. Exchange rates are different. The game is not $90. That is factually incorrect. It is $80. Say hail corporate. Say corporate shill all you want. I've already told you how I feel about the price. The fact is the game is not $90. If they make it $90, I will tell you it is not $90. Sinfield, no masturbators this week. I'm sorry. Too much regular news. I didn't look at clickbait. Hi, Master Toast. Good to see you. So, yeah, too much for me to do regular news wise. To be completely honest, I couldn't stomach the misinformation this week. We will get back to masturbators probably next week, but not this week. I apologize. Yeah, you're right. Joe Shabbat says masturbators would be 3 hours long this week. If this is your first time listening to the show, this is a wild conversation we're having right now, but tune in next week and you'll find out what it is. It's safe for family, friends and family, I promise. So the narrative got away from Nintendo to a point, fairly, because people are upset about price for legitimate reasons, to a point unfairly because misinformation is out there. But boy, oh boy, has it been a shit show for Nintendo. Woo! And it doesn't stop there. We're going to get more. I'm trying to decide if I should just go to. Yeah, we'll just go to it now. So then, price conversation dominated the internet discussion ever since. It's been everywhere. Then Trump announces his tariffs, and Vietnam gets hit with a 47% tariff. This could not be a worse situation for Nintendo. They made a move over a year ago. Shift facilities, spend extra money to avoid hurting their bottom line when the Switch 2 launches. And also to save the consumer some cash, because usually when there's tariff situations, the buck gets passed off to the consumer. They take the brunt. We pay more. So Nintendo's like, we want to avoid that. We don't want to hurt our bottom line. Move to Vietnam. Send those to the U.S. We're good. Vietnam gets hit with a 40? What did I say? I have such brain fog. 46% tariff. Nightmare scenario for Nintendo. Worst case scenario. Well, not worse, because it could be 50, 60, 70%. But it is so bad. 46% or 42, whatever it is. That's a lot. That's a lot. So when that happened, Nintendo was like, DEFCON 5 put out the press release. I want to make sure I read their note exactly so I don't mince words. Sorry. Here you go. So pre-orders were set to go live in the United States on April 9th. They are not anymore. What was it, a day and a half or 2 days later? Nintendo put out a statement saying, no, that ain't happening no more. Quote, pre-orders for Switch 2 in the US will not start April 9th, 2025 in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is unchanged. So Switch 2 is still coming out June 5th, 2025. So far, who knows? Other regions definitely. Here, I don't know. But so far, Nintendo says June 5th it's happening. When you're going to be able to pre-order, we don't know, because we got to look at this price thing, because we got like another 50% tariff we got to deal with here. Hi, Master Koi. Good to see you. Pre-orders are not delayed in Canada. They are delayed nowhere else. United States only. Everywhere else, pre-orders are as they have been identified. So some places them are doing already at select retailers. France, they're already doing it. Some places in the UK are doing it. But yeah, everywhere else is April 9th. Japan, they're doing a lottery right now. I think the pre-orders open later. So everywhere has been already said. The only place that's changed is the US. So nightmare scenario for Nintendo's biggest market, one of their biggest markets. If I think it's their biggest market, or North America, I should say, is their biggest market. Obviously, the US is a big chunk of that. My mom is texting me. My mom's texting me a Fortnite victory. I love you, Mom. You're a good one. Yeah, because now Nintendo's got. Can you imagine that Nintendo war room? Hopefully, we hear something next week, says Master Toast. I hope so. But I guess they got until June 5th. They got to please their retail partners. They don't want to do like a week before. Split the difference. Maybe we hear about it in a month. Yeah, I want to hear about it this coming week. But here's why it's so difficult. So Nintendo has the tariff situation to look at. I apologize. This is going to get a little political. The GoNintendo Podcast in recent years has become a little bit more political because we've been angry. If you're a first-time listener, you may hear some things you don't like. If you're a long-time listener, you already know where we stand. But I know there's the whole red-pilled gamers situation out there where it's like, keep politics out of my games. I got to talk about politics here. I'm sorry. It's unavoidable. This is politics and games. Politics have always been a part of games. But that's a discussion for another day. Just talking about it in relation to Switch 2 and tariffs. So there's the tariff that is unimaginable for Nintendo. They have to pull back and be like, what are we going to do here? Analysts, IGN did an interview with analysts to find out what they think Nintendo's going to do. Some said Nintendo's going to hold the line and eat the cost. But they want to, Nintendo wants to step back and look at it. Others have said Nintendo is going to probably up the price. Some have said Nintendo will hold the line on hardware, adjust software. Maybe they'll lower digital, keep physical the same. And some have said maybe they will bring things lower. No analyst said what I was thinking. I think there's wiggle room in there to either keep prices the same and give consumers an incentive to hop in. Like the voucher program. Hi, Blood Ocean. Good to see you. Oh, are you 37 today, Blood Ocean? Happy birthday. Yeah, give consumers a reason, like give them a voucher or something to sweeten the pot and be like, hey, we know this sucks. We're sorry. But, maybe they do have to raise the price by another $50 or $30 or whatever it is. And then they definitely, I think they should consider some sort of special program, like give people some sort of voucher or some sort of coupon or some sort of eShop credit or something to be like, we know you guys were already mad about the price. We know upping it is horrible. Here's why it's got to be upped. But also, we're trying to do something for you here. New ambassador program, says Master Toast. Hi, Laxter. Good to see you. And happy early 33rd birthday, Laxter. So, yeah. Nintendo's done stuff like that in the past. Could there be a world where Nintendo's like, We've assessed the tariffs. It sucks. We're going to eat the cost. We know you guys are mad about the price. You know what? We're going to do you a solid. We're going to drop the price by 25 bucks. Could they do that? Sure. Would they do that? It would be crazy. Do I think they're going to do that? 99% no. But call me a fanboy. If you're going to ask me which company out of the big three would do something like that, I would say Nintendo. I would say it'd be even more so if Iwata was still around. I'd be like, oh, there's a real shot they do that. Nowadays, I don't know. It would be lovely. And it's boy, would it be a way to swing the narrative back. Pull back on pre-orders in the US, come back and say, we've reassessed. This sucks. Even if they kept prices the same and did some sort of voucher thing, that would be nice. It would at least sweeten the pot a little bit. I think the negativity would still be there. If they could somehow discount the price a little bit, which again, that's going to do them no good other than public goodwill and perception. But that's currency in another way. That's big currency in another way. It's just, does Nintendo have the money to do that? Are they thinking that way? I guarantee it's being floated within Nintendo because this is the time when you have all ideas out there. We give us everything. We're listening to everything because this is horrible for them. So no ideas are bad ideas. Let's take them all. There is a world where that could happen. It's a very small, far off, distant world that's probably unreachable by us, unreachable by us humans, but it's there. Stealth 40K on Twitter had an interesting idea. He said, what if Nintendo comes back? I think this is what he said. I'm sure about one part. I'm not sure about the other, but it doesn't really matter. I believe he said, what if Nintendo came back and said, price is the same on the system, but Mario Kart World is going to be $10 cheaper. Would you be okay with that? And I'm a nosy bitch, so I read through the comments. There were a lot of comments. I did not see one that said they wouldn't be okay with that. Many of them said the whole thing we're upset about is the game price. Many of them said price of the system isn't too bad. So I think what I said before is bearing out. People really aren't that upset about the Switch 2 price. It's the Mario Kart World price that fueled their rage in every other direction. So it's like burn it all down kind of thing. Shit. I should go look at Stealth's quote because it might have been, could Nintendo say the price of Switch 2 goes up, but they dropped the price of Mario Kart World to $70 instead of $80? Would you be okay? And people were. Stealth 40K. Stealth doesn't tweet that much, does he? Oh, he doesn't. Here we go. Yeah, here he says Nintendo raises a hypothetical scenario. Nintendo raises the price of Switch 2 hardware by $50 due to severity of tariffs. Nintendo agrees to cap software prices at $70. How would you feel? It's got 896 comments. I did not read all those, obviously. But when I was reading it, people were on board with that. He has a follow-up comment here that says, seems like most would be satisfied with this arrangement. Nintendo, look at this. I hope your social media team is looking at stuff like this and be like, Nintendo, look at this. Look at what people are saying. That shows that a lot of the bluster about the Switch 2 price, yes, there are still people who are going to be upset about it, but a lot of the bluster was fueled by the Mario Kart World $80 thing. If people are saying $50 more for the Switch 2 because of tariffs, but you lower Switch 2 game prices to $70 at most, and they're okay with that, do that. Do that. You would be crazy not to do that. If Nintendo, we'll never know, but if Nintendo sees this sentiment out there and doesn't move on that and adds $50 and keeps Mario Kart World 80, if they saw something like this sentiment, or they ran a model, or they put out feelers through whatever, and they see that people are like, yeah, this is cool, and they don't do that, shame on Nintendo. I'll blame their ass from the morning to the time I go to bed. That's wrong. That is wrong. That's where I'm with you on greed, corporate greed. I will hands down be with you on that. If this is what people are saying, and Stealth's audience sure has Nintendo fans, but it's got gamers in general. This shows you your problem is the Mario Kart World price. That is the problem. There are always going to be people who are upset about the Switch 2 price, but a lot of that is fake vitriol fueled by the Mario Kart World part. Do this. Best case scenario, keep the price the same on the Switch 2, lock World prices at, or lock Switch 2 game prices at $70. You got it made in the shade. So there you go. That's at least proof with numbers, with data, hard data you can look at and be like, okay, people will pay $50 more. People understand tariffs. People aren't that upset about the price of the system. People just don't like an $80 game. There you go. Here's the proof. Nintendo want to like go to Nintendo, like go to Nintendo's headquarters and hold up my phone and be like poking on their glass, like boom, 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 boom. Look, Nintendo right here. So there's your proof. Pretty interesting, right? Salmaster Think says $70 is reasonable for Mario Kart World. Yeah. And here's the other thing. This is where I'm going to get pushback, but it is what it is. Games have been $70 for a considerable amount of time. When it comes to AAA games, we're talking about thousands of people working on them, multiple years of development. We can't say at $70 game prices forever. They got to go up. I'm sorry, they got to go up. I don't like that they got to go up, but I understand they have to go up to continue the political side of things. The problem is with average wages. The anger, I'm not being like, don't yell at Nintendo. They didn't do anything. Yell at Nintendo all you want. But the price of things, yes, there are companies that price gouge all the time. It happens. It sucks. They suck. But for as shitty as companies are, the bigger problem is that the wages have not gone up. That's where all this stems from. We need wages to go up. And that's all I'm going to say on that. NinTimDo, I see that picture. Master Toast says the problem is that Nintendo has always been a budget-friendly company, and the trends of the market force them into a high-end tech environment. I know lots of people always wanted an HD Nintendo system that competes with Sony. This was inevitable. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get to a point where, yeah, this was inevitable. You're completely right. I agree. You put out a new system, it's got to have improved specs. Like, you can't just keep putting out the same system with the same specs over and over again. Like, yes, you can get to that point. We're not there yet. We're nearing that point. Like another couple of generations, at least just thinking from a graphics perspective, we're nearing that point, yeah, where like you're not going to be able to put out systems anymore where you're like, look at the graphics, look at the graphics, look at the graphics. We're not there yet. Nintendo is further behind. So yes, their next system will the next iterations on their systems will have improved graphics from what they were before. But if you're watching me, I'm showing it right now. As far as Nintendo in the tech spec race, it's the other guys up here and Nintendo down here. But Nintendo's been coming up, and the other guys move ahead and coming up and moving ahead. But Nintendo is now like getting closer because the other guys are slowing down because there's only so much more wiggle room at the top to go. You can only get so much quote unquote better graphics. So eventually, these two are going to align. And what are you going to do? Things got to change. Things got to change. Get this goddamn thing out of my 10 Division says some people seem to be taking the anger as video games aren't worth the cost, and I think this is the real problem. Video games, art, entertainment, people always have an idea of what it should cost based on what they can afford, what they think it's worth, what the time they get out of it. People value their entertainment in different ways. There's nothing I can tell you. It's an individual discussion for people. And again, you decide if you think a movie ticket is worth $17 or you'd rather stay at home and watch the movie later and stream it for $5, or you pirate it. I'm against piracy personally. I'm not going to tell you not to pirate. Do what you want. I personally do not engage with it. I do not promote it, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's your life. Do whatever. Um, but yeah, like all these discussions. I'm Master Koi. Did I say hi to you? Hi. If I didn't, Master Koi says graphics race is having diminishing returns. I remember seeing a comparison between the Last of Us 2 versions on PS4 and PS5 and could tell the difference. Master Koi, I saw that exact video and I also could not tell the difference. I remember, I believe, people were trolling online by putting screenshots next to each other and being like, look at the difference between the two. And they were just taking two exact screenshots from the PS4 version and fooling people. So I remember that video. Yeah, I legit couldn't tell the difference. Obviously, with Switch and Switch 2, you can tell the difference, but it's because Nintendo's working with a bigger gap there. But yes, eventually Nintendo will get to the point where you won't be able to tell the difference anymore. PS5 and PS5 Pro, can you tell the difference? There are people who be like, you could definitely tell the difference. You could tell. And some I believe, yeah, they'll be like, look at this night and day. But the average consumer, no, not a shot in hell. The vast majority of people, not a shot in hell. And that's only going to become more and more the case as time goes on, even for those who are graphics aficionados. It's inevitable. So there you go. Man, I am legit getting dizzy from talking so much because it's just me. Let me take another sip of water. I apologize. I'm not breathing normally. I'm, congested, talking a lot. As the sign says, I have COVID. So I'm legit getting lightheaded. By the way, I don't want to keep driving home to point that I have COVID. Be like, oh, I have COVID. Millions of people have had COVID. Plenty have had it worse than me. Just every once in a while, it hits me in my own head. I'm like, ooh, it's a COVID thing. So like, I'm thinking like, oh, I'm getting dizzy. I gotta calm down. Too passionate about this stuff. I feel like this is going pretty good. I feel like I'm proud of my discussion on this. I'll get comments and feedback and be like, oh, people hated this, but it's like the Nintendo Direct. During it, great. Afterwards, horrendous. But yeah, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Oh, the other thing I want to say about tariffs is, Nintendo was like, they didn't put the price in the in the Direct. They knew people would be upset about it. Sure, that could be the case. I push back on that because Nintendo's dealing with the tariff thing, and people would be like, "Why didn't Nintendo just wait until Trump announced the tariffs?" Because you can't do that. Because the man changes his mind a million times a day for any given reason, and you don't know why. Tariffs this day, no tariffs the next day. Tariffs on this country this day, double tariffs that country the next day, no tariffs the day after that. Tariffs gone this day, uber tariffs on everybody this day. So Nintendo can't make it. Nintendo can't wait and be like, well, let's see once these tariffs are locked in, because nothing's locked in. It's a nebulous. Nobody knows what's going on, and you can't make an informed based decision when there's no way to be accurately informed. You can't do it. Nintendo can only operate on what they've been given. So they did what they did. And look, 2 days later, the situation changed again. And will it change again? Yes. So what do? That's what Nintendo's asking themselves right now. I don't know what you do. You put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. I don't know what they do. I don't know. I can tell you this. All I want to do is get the damn system. I just want to buy the system. By the way, I'm going to ask that. I'm sure there's going to be things that come up from here on out that are about the negatives and the disappointing aspects of all this, but I think we're done there for the most part. I know some things in my mind that we're going to get to, but they're minor, and other things might come up. But I think we're going to finally get to the fun stuff and talk about, what was shown and why we should be excited about the system, or why I'm excited. I hope you are too. Don't lose it, RMC. You had a point that you wanted to make. There it goes. Goodbye into the fog. Son of a bitch. What was it? There was a good point I wanted to make. Oh, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Oh, yes. I got it back. It came back to me, people. How are you pre-ordering your system? So I know US is different right now because we don't know when we're going to be able to, but how are you pre-ordering it? Are you what retailer do you plan on going with? Do you plan on going in person? Now I want because I've been going back and forth on what I'm going to do. In my podcast recently, I talked about how personally right now, MomBrain and I are not supporting Target and Walmart because of their stance on DEI and all that. We are proponents of DEI, so we're not supporting companies. We're not giving them our money because we don't want to. We don't think you're people if you do. We know some people have no choice. Even if you have a choice, it's go there. It's fine. We're not mad at you. We're voting with our dollar because then this is the way we want to do it. So I'm looking at like Best Buy, GameStop, stuff like that. But I was thinking I might actually go in person to Best Buy at night and like sit outside and wait for the store to open, which I haven't done since the PS2. I did it for the launch of Wii in New York City, but that was more for coverage purposes. But I think I might go in person. Just cause I'm trying to decide I know you guys have shared this sentiment already. It's scary being to want to lock in a pre-order, and then when pre-orders go live, you never know when it's going to happen. Like, it was nice that Nintendo said April 9th, and you're like, okay, at least I got a day that I know where I'll be like, okay, go. Taking a drink, hold on. Now that's taken away. We'll get a new date. Hopefully we have a little bit of wiggle room in there to prepare. But even then, let's say April 9th stuck around. You get to April 9th and you're like, where do I go? Well, I got to be there right when it happens. Who's going to let me know the links? When do they go live? How many do they have? Do I need to be in a queue? Do I have to sign up before? Am I going to be able to get one in there? Will the page process? Is it going to time out? It's scary. It's April. It's April. I read somebody said April. It's scary. I don't know what the hell I was going to say. It's nerve-wracking. I've been there with many systems and I'm like, furiously clicking through pages and got a whole bunch of tabs open. I hate it. And I was like, maybe going in person is the route to go. If I go to Best Buy the night before, try and decide when to get there. Like, is getting there at midnight okay? Or is there going to be a line already? And then I put in, 7 hours of standing in line? I don't care. I'm up till 7 in the morning. Anyway, that's not the hard part for me. I don't want to be outside. I lost a lot of weight. I'm a frail, cold bitch all the time now, so it's going to be frigid, but for Nintendo. For games, I do it for any company. I drove in a snowstorm and almost got in a car accident to get the PS Vita. There you go. True, that's a true story. I don't know if I've ever told that. I drove in an absolute snowstorm where nothing had been plowed to get my PS Vita because I'm an idiot. But anyway, yeah, I was thinking about going in person because even though it's a whole rigmarole, and I still worry that I get there and there's a line of people, and I don't know how many they're going to have. I could try calling the store, and maybe they'll tell me. I still like my chances of a line of, who knows, 25 people, 50 people versus the entire collective internet. I like those chances better. It's more annoying. It takes more physical stuff that I got to do, but I got a better shot. Plus, Best Buy is doing midnight launch, so I don't know. But I asked you guys what you're doing. Nikki Hill, we are not going to. No, don't say that, Nikki Hill. Nikki Hill said, let's go to Nintendo and why. I was going to ask you if you wanted to do Best Buy, actually. Because you're someone who would do that. I don't want to say crazy, but you're someone who would do that kind of stuff with me. Nikki Hill says, thumbs down. I think that's to the Nintendo NY thing. I asked you guys what you're doing. Let me scroll back up and see what you said. Drake says, I'm going to the UK official store. As he says, I want to go with Amazon. I have no idea if they're doing it. Ain't that the truth, my friend? Laxter says, my plan's been out the window since the tariff announcement, so no idea. That's very fair. Nintendo says they're signed up at Nintendo. So am I. Yeah, I'm signed up where I can be. Like the pages that are like, we'll let you know. And also at Nintendo. because I'll take what I can get. Give me any way I can get it. Laxer says, if I have a choice, Best Buy or GameStop. Joe Shepard says, direct from Nintendo with an invite. I hope. Master Toast did the same on Nintendo's website, but they're probably going to go to their local GameStop. 10 Division sign up for Nintendo. They're keeping an eye on Best Buy. Blood Ocean says at Nintendo America headquarters. Yep. They got that store in there. Saul Messerling says they'd like to go to Nintendo NY or San Francisco store. Maybe we'll see you, Saul Messerling. Backseat says, dude camping out before release day, just like the old days. That's right. How we used to have to do it. Laxer says, for Switch, they went to a GameStop. Then across the parking lot for a Best Buy. Ooh. Saul Messerling says PS4 pre-order was a nightmare. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I had a really tough time with that. So, yeah, it's nerve-wracking. And I know at 1 hour and 45 minutes into this podcast, I should have said this at the beginning. This is all nerd stuff. This is all non-issues. This is all stuff that doesn't need to be complained about. But this is a gaming podcast, a Nintendo-centric podcast. And we're here because we like video games and like talking about Nintendo. So this is what we're talking about. I know there are much bigger issues in the real world right now. And they're way more important than, what can I pre-order to Switch 2? How much is it going to cost? None of this is above any of that. But we are a Nintendo podcast, and I cover Nintendo for a living. So that's how and why we are talking about this stuff. I know it is not the end-all, be-all. I know it doesn't matter. But all that's, I still do care about it. Yeah, I play video games, but I'm more than just someone who plays video games. Like, they mean a lot to me. That I view them as an art form. I view them as a medium for expression. I view them as something really special. So there you go. All right. We did all that stupid shit. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. I'm going to go through the press release for a recap here. And we'll share our thoughts. GameChat. Nintendo revealed GameChat. So there was that button on the Switch 2 Joy-Con that at first didn't have any kind of markings on it. Leaks before that said that it would have a C button. When it was revealed, it had no C button. But Nintendo's pulled this crap before, and I said Nintendo probably just removed that because they didn't want to show it yet. That was the case. The C button is there. Now we know what it's for. It's for GameChat. Talk about something the internet loves to rag on Nintendo for. This is an online feature. This is an online feature where people can play games and talk like everyone in the same room. Blah, 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 blah. We'll get into the details. It is finally, after decades, built-in voice chat for the system. That is the most important part of this thing, in my opinion. We are finally getting baked-in voice chat. Is this something other systems have had forever? Yes. Should it be a big deal that Nintendo's adding it? No. Is it a big deal? Yes, because Nintendo hasn't had it. We've had no voice chat. We've had whatever. We Speak. We've had the mobile phone voice chat smart app on Switch, which was arguably the worst way that Nintendo tried to implement anything. I always understood Nintendo's complaints about online and keeping people safe and not being necessary. Look at the Switch's success. Clearly, the majority of people don't care or use other ways to talk, so they were right. But now, Nintendo is giving us built-in chat. I am all here for it. I'm very happy it's here. I know it's a standard feature and has been for a long time. That doesn't make me not excited for it to be on a Nintendo system. I am very excited for it to be there. I'm not going to praise it as some new innovation. I'm just very happy that it's there as a feature. Supports up to 12 people, but Nintendo is taking it a step further because you can also connect with a webcam, and you can have 4 icons of other people's webcams down the bottom of your screen alongside your gameplay screen. So you can see, people can share their gameplay screen. So you see what they are playing. And they can also superimpose themselves through the webcam on top of that footage. So basically like, Twitch or stuff like that, Discord, whatever you want to say. So again, nothing new, but something to the degree that we haven't really seen much of on consoles, at least not as like a baked in feature that people are using. Like Nintendo is very much trumpeting this as like, this is a big thing on Switch 2. We're really proud of this. We like what it fosters, the environment that it fosters. I gotta say, I like it. I'm not like, this is a crazy innovation. I've never seen anything like this, because it's not. But I do like it. I think it's fun. Nintendo, people have been ragging on Nintendo for the quality of the frame rate of the gameplay screens that are being shared, because it's not like 30 FPS or 60 FPS or anything like that. It's like I don't know how many frames it is, obviously, but it's somewhat choppy. You're getting a new frame every like 2 seconds. No, it's more than that. It's more than that. But it's not smooth. And people are like, look at this. This system can't even do smooth video or whatever. I don't know if the system can handle it or not. I don't know if this was just a conscious decision by Nintendo. But I don't know. Like, I don't think it's necessary. I would be fine if it was, fluid video. Yeah, that'd be nice, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, do you need the solid frame rate to be there when you are also playing your game on your screen? Like, the game you're playing is whatever frames it is, 60 frames, 120 frames. Like, that's where you're looking. That's where the action is most of the time. That's what you're playing. That's where you want the frame rate to be the best. If you have 4 little windows of webcams, do I need them to all be 60 frames a second? No, I don't. Again, this is one of those things where I'm like, not telling people they're wrong to be upset or disappointed with it, but I'm like, do you really need it? Like, I just think people see choppy frame rate and they're like, choppy frame rate bad. But like, that's usually the argument about, it feels bad to me when I play and I don't play as well and it ruins inputs for me. Oh, okay, fine. I'm not someone who feels that way. I'm not disagreeing with people or saying that that's not true. I'm just saying I don't feel that way when I'm playing. But for like these little windows, like, it's not acceptable there either. You're not playing those windows. Like, it'd be like Nintendo has showed. It's like you take a quick glance to see where somebody is in a game, or like your friend's like, I need help defeating the bokoblin. And you bring up their video and you're like, oh, you're here. Okay, walk over here, pick up this thing, shoot this explosive barrel, whatever. I'm not like watching this and I'm like, your frame rate's a little choppy. Could you check your internet? I can't tell what's going on. Blow it out your ass. Like, really? This is stupid. I'm not saying people are stupid for feeling that way. I'm not saying people are wrong for saying it shouldn't be better. And I'm not saying I would want it. I'm not saying I wouldn't be okay with it being better. But like, for what it's being used for and how it's being used, I think it's fine. It's not like you're going to sit there and watch it like it's a movie. I mean, sure, there might be people that are like, I want to watch you play Stardew Valley. And they put on their one friend and they watch it. And it's, a less than stellar frame rate. I guess if you're sitting down for like movie night and you're putting it on, you're like, an hour and a half of this, then I guess you'd be like, yeah, this isn't the best viewing experience. But I don't imagine that's how most people are going to use it. But who knows? So I'm sure this is an area where people were saying I'm being more forgiving than necessary. But I'm just telling you how I honestly feel. I'm like, it's fine by me. Solomon Sterling says it's not ideal, but I've heard other similar screen sharing services have similar level performance. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even get a chance to look at it. That could very much be the case. Tall Show says, guys, your friend screens are 60 frames per second combined. Each 15 frames per second each. There you go. Yeah, just add them up. You did it. So yeah, give me pushback on this one all you want. I'm just telling you how I feel. Why can't I scroll? There we go. You know what I wanted? Master Toe says, I think the low latency of the video chat in game is fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Hi, Ice Dilbert, if I didn't say that. If I didn't say hello. You know what I was thinking the whole time I was watching it? I was like, this is a cool idea, but I was getting really nervous because at first Nintendo was showing it and you saw the game where it was like your game took up the top like 2/3 of the screen and it was windowed, and then you had 4 windows for everybody else. And I was like, I don't want to play with everybody's screens down there. Please let me make them smaller or make them disappear. And the minutes kept, or I was, it felt like hours. The seconds kept ticking by and they weren't showing that as an option. And I was like, no, please. I was like, this would be so Nintendo to force this to always be on your screen and you're not allowed to minimize it or change it. And I got more and more nervous. And then eventually they're like, adjust the screen size, and they showed it make your gameplay full screen if you want. And I was like, oh, thank God. That's all that I want. That's all I want. So that was going to be my gripe. I was going to be like, son of a bitch, let me minimize that shovel. I can say I've been saying shit. Let me minimize that stuff. So I don't want to see it all the time. So thankfully that is there. That would have been my pitchfork moment. I wouldn't have bought the Switch 2 if it. No, I'm joking. But that would have been one of my gripes. No, SD, I'm still. Don't lose faith in me, please. So you need Switch Online to use this, but Nintendo says until the end of March 2026, GameChat can be used without the need to have Switch Online. So you get almost a year where you can use this for free. So that's nice. But after that, pay up the all $80. Sinfield, that's very funny. That would be too gratuitous for me to say. Nikki Hill's leaving. Jesus, one of my best friends from second grade. He's got to leave. He's got to leave. He says, everyone have a great day, weekend, and week. Feel better to me. Thank you. I will try. Enjoy all the news and opinions. I won't enjoy it, but I'll be giving it to you. So there you go. Cool stuff. I'm happy that I'll be able to like wear a headset because the Pro controller, the Switch 2 Pro controller has an audio jack. You can plug in a headset with a microphone and chat your ass off that way. So that's all that I want. I'm very happy. So that's a nice feature, long overdue for the Nintendo side of things. It's nice that we are getting something traditional with a little extra Nintendo twist. Fine by me. What do we got here? Switch 2 has 7.9-inch LCD screen, full 1080p in portable mode. I believe it has HDR. The press release doesn't say it, but it does have HDR. Another point where people lost their brains where Nintendo used LCD and not LED. They're like, how are you going to do LED? Or how are you going to do LCD? It's garbage. Like, this should be OLED screen. I had a friend. This is really funny. The Switch 2 is going to be the first time they ever buy a Nintendo system at launch. They've only ever bought one system at launch, not Nintendo. Just one system ever. Switch 2 is going to be their first system ever that they buy at launch. And they were like, are people joking about being upset about the screen? I was like, friend, they are not. Hi, Vachi. They really feel like this. They really are. Some of them really do feel like this. Yes. And he was shocked. And this friend is like, he's a big new tech guy. He likes, the latest TVs with the latest resolutions and the latest phones with, fancy screen. Like, he's all about that stuff. But he also recognizes that it doesn't need to be there. So, he's a tech guy. He likes to get that stuff. But with Switch 2, like, it never even crossed his mind that people would be so aggravated about it being LCD that he's like, is this for real? Also, he was on the GoNintendo Facebook page, which, here's a little secret. I almost never go there because I can only handle so much negativity. I go over there when I have to fix something. And even then, it's rare. But he was talking to me last night about the Facebook page, and he's like, "Man, people there are mean and nasty and biting." And I was like, "Yeah, yes, they are, my friend. That's the internet." I was like, "That's what I see everywhere, all day, all over the place." He's like, "I'm just it's these people." I was like, "I know. I know. I've been dealing with them for 20 plus years now, and in the last 5 years or so, they've gotten way worse. I'd say the last 8 or 9 years. I wonder why. I wonder why that is. Um, but anyway, we did the screen. What do we got? Joy-Con. We got the we got the confirmation of another thing that was rumored and then heavily hinted at by Nintendo. Switch 2 Joy-Con do have mouse controls. So you can flip the Joy-Con on its side and use it like a mouse. Nintendo wants you to know you don't have to do this on a table. You can use your pant leg to do it as well. This is specifically in the press release and has been talked about a lot by Nintendo. They want you to know you can sit down and put this thing on your lap and use it like a mouse. So you don't need a mouse pad. You don't need a whole lap desk. Just put it on your leg. It's not going to be the best experience. No. But my understanding for people that used it, it works perfectly. So there you go. This is going to be used in games like Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, which is getting a Switch 2 edition. You'll have mouse-like controls there if you want to use them. You do not have to do that, but you can use it to to aim with Samus. So you could play. It's like kind of like motion controls. So you move around regular, and then if you want to fine tune your aiming, you can use the mouse to do that. And this is not an option you have to turn on or off in Metroid. It's always on. You just never have to use it if you don't want to. So you could like shift to using it in intense battles and go back to more traditional play later. It's up to you. Do it on and off the whole time. Doesn't matter, which is a really cool approach. Excuse me. Civilization 7 uses it for mouse-like controls. I've read impressions of people who played that version, and they're like, "Man, it feels great. It feels just like the PC version." So couldn't be better to hear that stuff. I'm totally down with that. Fortnite was announced for Switch, a native version of Switch for Switch 2, a native version that's going to be out day and date with the system on June 5th. Epic has not shown off what that version looks like. Epic has been very good about supporting Nintendo-related features on Fortnite, or through Fortnite, I should say. I really hope they do mouse features because I play a lot of Fortnite and I want to try mouse controls. I really, 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 really want to try mouse controls. I would say they're going to do it. Maybe it won't be there at launch. I'm going to bet it will be. But I think at the very least, they will do it. And I'm very excited to try that out. So it's going to be cool to see how companies use this. And mouse controls seem like something more developers are going to be willing to use than perhaps Nintendo's other control gimmicks or approaches, whatever you want to call them. Like, Wii Remote Waggle, that was used a lot at first, and then developers were like, we don't care about this. Or motion controls, they're like, whatever. IR pointer, Wii U gamepad, obviously they weren't doing anything there. Like Switch HD Rumble, they were like, oh, that's nice, and they never really did anything with it. So I do think mouse controls, because that makes sense to developers. They've been doing that for years. You just don't traditionally see it on consoles. So it opens up a new style of control that people are familiar with, just in an environment where they aren't using it usually. So long story short, where the fart is Mario Paint for Switch 2? Nintendo, don't be wieners. Make it happen. USB-C port at the top. We know all about that. Great place to plug in your camera. Significantly improved CPU and GPU performance over Switch. Again, NVIDIA said 10 times better than the Switch. You can go read their tech breakdown for whatever it is, DLSS and 4K and all that stuff. If there's stuff in this press release, I'll talk about it. But I'm not really one that talks about tech spec stuff. Yeah, considerably bigger. Telshow says Mario Paint will come in the form of Super Mario Maker 3, where you can draw on your builds. Is that inside information there? You got spiders and flies, Soul Show? I'm taking a drink of water. This has spatial 3D audio. That's a nice feature. I'm a big proponent of game audio, of game sound designers, of composers, of sound effect makers, all of that. And I never think they get enough praise or attention. Very happy to see that we'll be experiencing their works in greater quality than ever, at least on Nintendo platforms through Switch 2. Exciting news. Switch 2 has 250 gigs of storage. It's much improved over the Switch. If you go with the OLED, you get 64 gigs. So we got 256 here. The Switch 2 uses micro SD express cards exclusively. So your micro SD cards that work on Switch, those will not work on Switch 2. You need micro SD express cards because of their faster read-write times. So you're going to have to get some new micro SD express cards to expand your storage. But hopefully with the bigger storage space on the system itself, you'll be okay for a while. We saw first-party game sizes on Switch 2. Mario Kart World was the biggest one. My memory isn't great right now. I believe it was somewhere around 24 gigs, the biggest of the first-party games. And then I want to say Donkey Kong Bonanza was like 10 gigs, and then it just kept going down from there. So storage sizes or file sizes for Nintendo Switch 2 games, at least first party, not bad at all. You could get all the first party games on Switch 2 that have been announced for launch day, and you'd have plenty of room left on your Switch 2. So that's good to hear. As far as third party games, we don't know file sizes yet. You would imagine optimization for those isn't usually as good. The companies don't usually do the same kind of compression techniques that Nintendo does. So we'll see. Cyberpunk, whatever it's called. Cyberpunk 2077. That was announced for Switch 2 this week, and CD Projekt Red is handling that port internally, and they said that will come on a game card, and it's 64 gigs. So there's a third-party game, the size of 64 gigs still will fit comfortably on your Switch 2, but it would take up one Switch 1 entirely. One game for the whole system. Backwards compatibility, we know all that. You can connect your Switch Pro controller or your Joy-Con. You connect them wirelessly. Here's something you might not know. Those controllers can be used to play Switch 2 exclusive games. So if you have a Switch Pro controller, you can use that to play Donkey Kong Bonanza on the Switch 2. So if you're looking to save yourself $90, which I believe is the price of the Pro controller for Switch 2, you could stick with your Switch Pro controller and bring it over. Now, games that use mouse controls, obviously your old Joy-Con from Switch 1 aren't capable of that. You won't have your GameChat dedicated button. So there will be situations where things aren't quite at parity, but by and large, you can use your Joy-Con and Switch Pro controller on Switch 2 to get the job done. So if you're like, son of a bitch, Switch 2 and Mario Kart World, that's $500 after tariffs, $1,000. And then I got to buy a Pro controller, and that's $90. I want to get a micro SD express card. You don't got to do all that stuff. Save the Pro controller for down the road. Stick with the one you got now. Wait for a special edition where you're like, I want that Zelda Switch 2 Pro controller. Whatever. Your Switch Pro controller will work fine. Hi, Ninja Bunny. Good to see you. Yes, I want to talk about that, Ninja Bunny. That's pretty cool. We will get to it. Switch 2 dock supports up to 4K resolution and 120 frames per second. Taking a drink. Oh, who's surprised that we're in a world where Nintendo is giving us hardware that does 4K or has the capability of going up to 4K and 120 frames per second? I'm surprised. I'm very surprised. I didn't think it would be that good. Obviously, it's not going to be the case with all games, but to have that potential, I'm very surprised. I'm also surprised Nintendo talked about it in their press release. Times are a-changing. They talked about the game share feature. Players can share and play the same game with others who do not have that game. If one person has a Switch 2 system and a game compatible with game share, that person can invite others to temporarily play the game together via local play with their Switch 2 or Switch. Between Nintendo Switch 2 systems, game share can be used along with GameChat for online play. Very nice. Sharing is caring. They talked about virtual game cards again. We don't need to cover that. Switch Online. They talked about, the stuff that'll be in Switch Online through Switch 2, as we said, GameChat and all that stuff. But they announced that Switch 2 members, Switch Online expansion pack members will get GameCube titles. They will not be on the original Switch. Switch 2 only. So I know many people wanted GameCube games on the Switch. I'm sorry it's not happening, but it is happening on Switch 2. You're getting Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, and F-Zero GX at launch. And others to come later, but that's your triple threat at launch. Also, Switch 2 will get exclusive enhanced Nintendo 64 Switch Online features as well, like Rewind and a special CRT filter and something else. So a few bells and whistles there for you. New accessibility options, including ability to adjust font size, enable screen reader, and speech-to-text features for GameChat. Not surprisingly, Nintendo's going all out on parental controls to keep people safe through GameChat and to keep kids out of things where they shouldn't be. You're going to have to approve permission through SMS messaging at first, and parents will have to approve their child using the service through the parental controls app, and you'll only be able to do it with friends at first that are approved. Multiple layers of keeping kids safe. I'm fine with that. I'm actually in favor of that because online's a terrible place. So terrible people doing terrible things. Ways to keep people safe. If it's got to give adults a few more hoops to jump through, whatever. Do it once and then do it never again. It keeps people safe. NinTimDo is getting out of here. You have a good weekend, NinTimDo. Thanks again for all your help this week. I'll be in touch very soon. And I will extend your well wishes to MomBrain, who's napping upstairs. Have a great weekend, my friend. Thanks again for your help. Yeah, so I'm all about that. I saw somebody say Chibi Robo. Yes, Sinfield. Chibi Robo is part of the GameCube lineup. Love it. Love it. That little robot never gets enough attention. Button mapping for Nintendo 64 Switch Online through Switch 2. Yes, Solid Master Link. That's what I couldn't remember, which is very nice because N64 controller is the wonkiest of them all. And playing with that on a Switch controller, Switch Joy-Con, or the Pro controller is can be uncomfortable. So individual game button mapping, yeah, that's great. So there's that. Hi, Zikamudo. I didn't say hi to you. Good to see you. All right. Let's talk about games. I think I'm going to end up just getting through like the press release today, and then I'm going to have to call it. Maybe that would be for the best so I could rehash with people in person. We'll see how it goes. I hope this is good. I hope like this is entertaining, and I'm trying more than just like here's the facts and going on like sharing opinions and getting into discussions, even though it's just me. But with you lovely people who are here live, I hope it's been good. Not what I wanted for the show after the Switch 2 reveal, but these are the cards I've been dealt. All right. Mario Kart World. We finally got our look at, we knew a new Mario Kart game was coming to Switch 2, but now we got our look at like what it's all about. It's one seamlessly connected world with the courses in between. It's got free roaming where you can drive wherever you want to explore and find secrets and all that stuff. You'll have 24 racers out there now. There's a new knockout tour mode where you go through courses back to back to back and you hit checkpoints. And the checkpoints will be like, you have to be within the first 18 racers, otherwise you're out. And then you go to the next checkpoint, it's like, you better be within the next 12 racers or you're out. And you have to keep racing and it gets whittled down. So cool idea. I really like that. That's fun. Plenty of characters in this game, all sorts of costumes in this game. You can there's like jet ski-ish kind of things, snowmobile-ish kind of things. You can fly, you can grind on rails, you can ride up walls. The courses are bigger than ever. It looks gargantuan. It looks huge. I was like very excited for Mario Kart 8 when it was announced on Wii U. And I love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think it's the best Mario Kart game. But I don't know that I've ever felt more excited about a Mario Kart game than I do this one. Like this one, when I was watching it, like to myself, I was saying, wow, out loud over and over again. Like jaw dropped, like, whew, man, like I was seriously impressed. Like it looked like this, the statement this Mario Kart was making was, this is next generation Mario Kart. And I don't mean like from a graphics perspective. I mean like, here's the next true step for Mario Kart. And I haven't played it, but boy, does it look good. I'm down with that. There's going to be more shown for that game on a special April 17th Mario Kart World Direct that will air at New Jersey time, 9 a.m. We got the surprise reveal of Donkey Kong Bonanza. This trailer, even while I was covering it live, even while I was melting from my fever, this trailer made me tear up. This game, as a longtime Nintendo fan, from day one, from the womb to the tomb, this is why I love Nintendo. I need to play it to really see how I feel about it, but being shown it and seeing Treehouse live gameplay, this is what I love about Nintendo. Colorful, amazing environments, platforming, exploration, so much life and personality in every little nook and cranny. What sounds so far to be a phenomenal soundtrack. Inventive mechanics where you can dig and dig through everywhere and break through almost anything. It looks like something special, man. I was blown away by this game. There's all kinds of secrets about it that we don't know. Today we learned that the Nintendo of Korea website has their like splash page art for the game showed that like a little kid version of Pauline is in this game. What is that all about? What's going on here? Little kid Pauline hanging out with Donkey Kong? Is this like canonical? Is this lore? Are we getting Donkey Kong lore? What's going on here? We know Cranky Kong's in the game too. Am I getting a Donkey Kong game where I'm going to be interested in the story? What the hell? Like I am so far. What's going on? It just looks like pure Nintendo style fun. And I am all about it. I need to go hands on. I need to feel it. Feel it. But oh, man, it looks good. That's coming out July 17th. So not at launch, but the month after. Drinking water. We also learned about something that was speculated about beforehand, and then we got confirmation. Switch 2 edition games. So Switch 2 edition games are games that are out on Switch 1 that are getting enhancements for Switch 2. Some of this will be free. Some Switch games will not be called enhanced editions, but they will get enhancements on Switch 2 for free. So better graphics and frame rate and maybe some other stuff. You'll get some of that for free. Then there's Switch 2 edition games, which are step up, even more content. So Zelda Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are getting Switch 2 edition games. If you have them on Switch, you can just either pay to get the upgrade pack, which should be somewhere in between 10 and 15 bucks or 10 and 20 bucks. You can buy it flat out if you don't own the Switch versions. Those will be $80. One of them, Breath of the Wild is $70. Tears of the Kingdom is $80. So really, you're paying the $60, $70 price for those games on Switch, and then the $10, $20 more for the upgrade pack. That's how that works. So the $80 situation there is another point where people are like, I don't want to pay $80 games. I would argue this is a little bit different because you're really paying the price tag of the game on Switch plus the price of the upgrade pack in one package. I would say Nintendo could still knock some bucks off there, definitely. But the situation isn't as cut and dry as it is with Mario Kart World. That is, this is an $80 game. These Switch 2 edition games are Switch 1 game price, upgrade pack price, put them together, big price. If you're a Switch Online expansion pack member, you get the Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom 2 edition upgrade packs at no additional cost. So that's nice. Super Mario Party Jamboree is getting a Switch 2 edition, and this adds in Jamboree TV. There's new unique modes and mini games that use mouse controls. The system's built-in mic. Oh yes, the Switch 2 has a built-in mic. And the Switch 2 camera has 2v2 team battles and physical challenges. So you're playing games where you're on camera doing things like punching a question mark block, or games where you're like sorting through piles of papers by using the mouse, or you're using the camera to represent yourself in some other game, or have an icon above a character that shows your face in real time, showing your character. That comes out July 24th. You have to pay to get that no matter what. Either you're going for the full-on Switch 2 edition because you don't have the Switch game, or you're just paying for the upgrade pack. The Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions have smoother frame rates, faster load times, better graphics. They're also using the Switch app to add in Zelda Notes. This is a service that will help players navigate to various locations. It gives you voice navigation, like you're in a car. It's like GPS. It'll be like, turn here to go to Hyrule Kingdom. I don't know, Hyrule Castle. Or it'll be like, turn here to go get a Korok. Korok. It also has commentary from Zelda herself that was not part of the original game. I forget what it's called. Voice something memories. So you're going to hear Zelda lore from Zelda. Hi, Atomic Toaster. Telling you story tidbits. So people are like, oh, is Zelda going to tell us about how her and Link have been like living together and they kiss each other? I don't know. But that's a cool little addition. I don't care about better graphics at all in any game on any system. So that's not a mover for me. But hearing more story from Zelda, you guys know I don't replay games. I'm kind of interested in that. So that's a cool idea. Here's the one there's a tie between which of these I'm most interested in as far as Switch 2 edition goes. This is one of them. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Kirby and the Forgotten Realms, is getting a Switch 2 edition with Star-Crossed World. A mysterious meteor crashes in a world of Kirby and the Forgotten Land, revealing a new story for Kirby. He must use his abilities, including new mouthful modes, to clear a trail through uncharted territory. The upgrade pack will include this new content, which can be played in single player and local co-op, as well as improved performance for the game. This comes out August 28th. This is really cool, and this really changes up how the game is played. You're getting whole new locations or whole new portions of levels in previously visited locations. That's the video that we posted on social media, where you can see how a level used to look and then how it looks in Star-Crossed World. And it's very different. I was like, oh, this is like a whole new level. So and you get more story there, obviously. So I'm like down with that. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in this. And the same goes for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond Switch 2 Edition, which many thought was going to happen, and we got confirmation. Enhanced visuals, better performance. There's a quality mode and a performance mode, both of which support HDR. You can use 4K 60 frames per second, or you can enjoy smoother action in full HD at 120 frames per second. So you could do 4K at 60 frames, which is lovely, still silky smooth. Or you could do full HD, so that's 1080p, but with 120 frames per second. That's really nice. Those are two really nice options. So, which one are you going with? Yes, Laxer. As far as I know, the only Switch 2 edition game that's not $80 is Breath of the Wild. I believe all the other ones are $80. So yes, which one are you going to go with? Performance mode or quality mode? And then Pokemon Legends ZA, another one people expected would go to Switch 2. It is with Switch 2 edition, enhanced resolution and frame rates. That's all that they said right now. I'm sure there's more to it than that. I was shocked at how good Prime 4 looked. Joe Shabadoo's talking about it in the chat right now. I agree. After I was done covering things, I went back to look at like trailer footage and then Treehouse Live footage, and I watched it on my phone in 4K. I don't care about graphics. I'll play it on black and white CRT. I really don't care. But I can recognize when something looks nice. That game's a looker. Holy crap, did that look nice? I was like, man, I was not expecting it to look that nice. It really did look nice. I was really impressed. Back to regular Switch 2 game announcements. Fulfilling the dreams of many a GameCube fan out there, Masahiro Sakurai is returning to Kirby with Kirby Air Riders, a brand new title originated from the GameCube classic Kirby Air Ride. They just showed like a teaser trailer. We don't really know anything about the game, but we are told it's coming out 2025. So we're going to find out about it in the near future. Nintendo revealed a new first-party game. Sorry, I'm getting dizzy. Give me a second. Ooh, that's a bad one. Sorry. All right. Okay. The Switch gave us ARMS, which was a new original IP. Switch 2 is giving us Drag. How am I supposed to say this? Drag Drive, Drag X Drive, Drag Cross Drive. My anime fan friends have told me I'm supposed to ignore the X and pretend it's not there and not say it. So Drag Drive. This is an online 3 versus 3 game experience. You use both Joy-Con as in mouse mode. Each one is for a wheel. You're basically sitting in a wheelchair, a futuristic uber turbo wheelchair, and you use both the Joy-Con and mouse mode to scrub along and steer where you're going. Do more one side than the other to turn, pull them backwards to go in reverse, pull them back for brake, and then you raise your hand up to shoot your shot, because basically you're playing 3v3 basketball, but in a wheelchair. From an artistic standpoint, I'm not really behind this one. It didn't really catch me visually. From a gameplay standpoint, I liked it. I thought it was cool. I'm way more about this than I was ARMS. I was down with ARMS. ARMS was fun for what it was. But I like this idea. It looks like a lot of fun. And I watched Treehouse Live play, and I was like, yeah, I could get behind that. It's coming out this summer, no official date. I'd imagine this is not going to be a full price game by any stretch, I'd say. Let's guess and get it wrong. Come on, I'm Nintendo. I will guess $50. Mark it down, people. I'm guessing $50. Yeah, I like it. I think it could be fun. I think it could be a lot of fun. Is it going to be huge? Probably not, but it's cool. And I forget who said it in the chat, but they were talking about the representation for those with disabilities. It was cool to see that. I agree. I thought it was cool. Sinfield says $40. Laxer says $40. let's say if I was pricing the game, I would say $40. Like, I would make the price $40. I think Nintendo's gonna do 50, but I could be wrong. Maybe after this tariff stuff, they're not gonna do that. They announced here's one we're gonna get into just some discussion about. The Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Now, if you wanna talk about things that surprised me with Switch 2, this is probably I'm not even gonna say probably. This is where I was most surprised. Nintendo announced Switch 2 Welcome Tour. According to Nintendo, it lets you gain insights into what makes Switch 2 such a unique gaming experience. Through tech demos, minigames, and other interactions, players will get to know the new system inside and out in ways that they may never have known about the system. So basically, you're walking around inside a Switch 2 as if it's an interactive museum. And when you go to different areas of the Switch 2, you learn about them. And you learn about it through text bubbles and through interactive experiences. So you learn about the Switch 2's graphics. You learn about how the Joy-Con work, and you play little games. Like there's a little game in there that shows you how the mouse controls work, and you play a little game where you move around a UFO and whatever. I love those little kind of mini games. I way love that kind of stuff. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like the WarioWare stuff where you do those, you collect those little mini games. I play those for hours. I really love that kind of stuff. So I am all about that. I think this is a really cool idea. By the way, I never said Switch 2 has an improved version of HD Rumble. Apparently much improved according to Nintendo. And you'll use the Switch 2 Welcome Tour to experience how much better HD Rumble is and what it can do on Switch 2. So that's cool. This is out launch day on Switch 2. Here's why I was surprised. Not built in. This is a paid game. I don't understand that move at all. I know Nintendo thinks they shouldn't give away their games for free. I get it. I get it more than most, probably. I would argue that more than most and get a lot of shit for it. With this, the whole point of this experience is to teach people about the Switch 2. With that being where the game lies from a gameplay perspective and what it's aiming to provide, like, here's a new system. Here's how to learn about its features and what it does. That should not be a paid experience. That is stupid that that's a paid experience. I would not, if you think it should be a paid experience, just like with everything else, I would not tell you you're wrong. I would explain why I think we're in different places on that, but I'd not tell you you're wrong. I think that is a wrong decision for Nintendo to make. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't fathom it. Or I don't fathom how they came to this. It teaches you about the Switch 2, what's in it, its features, how it works. Why would that be a paid experience? I don't get that. Here's the good news. It is cheap. We don't know the pricing in the United States yet. Based on other regions, it is somewhere around $6. So it's a best case scenario in terms of price. Better case would be $1, $2, $3, $4, $5. It could end up being $10 here. I don't know. But it's not $80 or anything like that. So $6 experience. Yeah, I'm gonna get it because I'm a Nintendo super fan. B, I love the kind of things that this is offering. C, I just am interested. I don't mind paying $6 for it. But I do think it should be free. I'm not so pissed off about it. I'm voting with my dollar by not buying it because my interest in it and support of it outweighs my anger over it being paid. I bet it becomes a Switch Online, a part of Switch Online down the road. I bet it does. But yeah, this is a baffling decision by Nintendo. someone on this, who's making this decision? We used to hear that Reggie was the voice of reason when it came to that stuff. Nintendo didn't want Wii Sports to be a pack-in, and Reggie's like, it's got to be a pack-in. This is how you explain the system to people, and he fought tooth and nail for it, and it worked, and he was right. Doug Bowser is not Reggie Fils-Aimé. He's not making that fight. He doesn't see it that way. Stand up, Doug. If I saw you in person, Doug, I would have said that. Am I lying? I'm honestly not lying. I would have said something. I wouldn't have been like, hey, asshole, what? I would have been like, hey, Nintendo Tour, can you tell me why that's paid over being a pack-in? I would have said something. My favorite Reggie gift, Blood Ocean. My favorite Reggie gift right there. But yeah, I would have said something without a doubt. I would have asked him about it. I kid you not, I would have asked him about it. And if he wasn't there, I would have asked somebody about it. I don't get it. Moving on, third-party reveals. Split Fiction coming to Switch 2. Love it. Haven't played it. We'll play it on Switch 2. It's going to be me and Do. We've already talked about playing it elsewhere. We're going to play it on Switch 2, baby. Very excited for that. Been wanting to play it. Was holding off because, as listeners of the show know, I haven't really been up for playing games lately. Been easing back in because of my mental space. Getting there, but this has been on my list of ones to play. With it coming to Switch 2 on launch day, I'm there, and only one of us has to buy it. So, totally down. Madden and NFL are coming, or Madden and NFL. Larry versus Bird. Madden and FC, so soccer, are coming to Switch 2. We don't know when. So Madden on Nintendo platform. It has been a while, but it's going to happen. 2K took up some time during the showcase, and when 2K's logo came up in the Discord chat with Quence and NinTimDo, and in real life, I said, please WWE, please WWE, please WWE. I got my wish. NBA 2K and WWE 2K are coming to Switch 2. Oh, I'm so happy. I love my WWE. I'm buying that game. Definitely buying that game. Borderlands 4. I'm not into the Borderlands franchise, but there you go, Borderlands 4. Elden Ring was announced, which is a port many expected would happen. So that's cool. The Tarnished Edition. I don't remember the release dates on this stuff. A lot of this is day one, like Split Fiction and I believe Elden Ring. Hades 2 was announced. That's not day one, but Hades 2 is coming to Switch 2. That's awesome to see. Hades was a big hit on Switch. Great partnership with Supergiant and Nintendo, so that's awesome. What else we got here? In very surprising news, we got a brand new game from Software. When it first came up, you can just tell by the look of these games that it's a From Software game. Malik Halo, that's really funny. The World Wrestling Association, based on how I said it. When that trailer came up, I was like, this is a From Software game. And when I started watching it, I was like, this looks like Bloodborne. Is this something Bloodborne related? It wasn't. It's a brand new game called The Dusk Bloods. So a From Software game for Switch 2. And a real killer note, exclusive. Switch 2 exclusive. 2026. It's an exclusive. To use stupid internet terms that I hate. That's the money hat from Nintendo right there. Nintendo reached out and was like, hey. We learned through an interview that From Software was originally working on this as a Switch game. And Nintendo was like, From Software was originally envisioning this as a Switch game. And Nintendo was like, hey, we got this thing called the Switch 2. You want to do it there? And From Software was like, yeah, it's a good idea. So sometime in 2026, what a get. And, as far as online pushback and bitter tears, what a load of shit from the people online who were clearly just upset that a From Software game was coming to Switch 2 as an exclusive because they showed this trailer and people were like, looks like garbage, looks like shit. This game's going to suck. This game looks terrible. Nobody wants this. As the internet says nowadays, massive amounts of copium there. Like, you're just upset that Switch 2 is getting an exclusive From Software game. You're being whiny about it. If you want to be upset about it and frustrated that you're not going to be able to get this From Software game without buying a Switch 2, totally valid. You got to spend $450 to get another $70 game, maybe $80 game. Valid. Be upset about it. Not wrong to be upset about it. But to take the approach of this looks bad, this looks like shit, this looks like doo-doo. We know what you're doing there. Everybody, you're not fooling anybody. Are there people out there who really think that? I'm sure there are. But we all know the vast majority. I don't have proof. I don't have evidence, but I think most of us believe that a lot of people that were talking like that were doing it through tears as keyboard warriors. Crazy Colonel just texted me now. It said, but I didn't know you had COVID. I got COVID. The sign says I'm keeping that whiteboard there, by the way. We're going to change it every week. I don't know what it's going to say. What was that? What's that political guy? James Carville, who used to write on, he's still alive, but he used to write on the whiteboard all the time to explain stuff. That's me now, but for Nintendo. Here's why Switch 2 tariffs are a good thing. Moving on. Just checking in on the chat. Sorry. Blood Ocean says Twitter speak isn't real emotion. It's not real. It can't hurt you. Drinking water. We did EA. We did brand new third party and first party announcement. The Hyrule Warriors franchise continues with Age of Imprisonment, a Switch 2 exclusive. Features epic battles against hordes of enemies as it tells this untold story from Hyrule's distant past of the imprisoning war that ultimately led to the events of Tears of the Kingdom. We're going back in time, people. Canonical. Zelda's there. King Roru's there. And other familiar characters. You know who we didn't see? Link. I am not Link, but I have heard of him. Coming to Switch 2 this winter. Hyrule Warriors games on the Switch have always been a miracle because it's like, let's take a game where we throw hundreds of characters on screen on inferior hardware. And they work. They chug, but they work. So I'm sure Koei Tecmo is really breathing a sigh of relief here where they're like, oh my God, let's do a Hyrule Warriors game where we can really like make some crazy action here, like really let loose. Or at least have some breathing room. We did that. Salamaster Link says you should look at adding a news ticker that has text similar to your whiteboard for future videos. That's a funny idea. As I mentioned earlier, Cyberpunk 2077 is coming to Switch 2 as the Ultimate Edition. That is going to come out same day as Switch 2. This is the base game and the Phantom Liberty expansion. What they say, there's a performance mode that runs at 40 frames per second. This is a port made by CD Projekt Red, not farmed out. There's a point. Comes on a 64 gig cartridge. Oh, I got to talk about that. Somebody remind me. I want to talk about game cartridges or game cards. Don't let me forget. Please. The most impressive part about this, at the Switch 2 experience events, you can play this, and press already got hands-on with it. The build that was being played and showcased, CD Projekt Red got running in 7 weeks. They've worked on it for 7 weeks. It's going to be out at launch, and impressions of the 7-week build are really good. 7 weeks shows you what CD Projekt Red can do when they are allowed to do things, and how quickly they can operate, and how they can really like make things happen when they know what they're doing. by this time they know that game inside and out. And it also shows you what can be done with the Switch 2 hardware. So cool stuff there. And to have it on launch day, holy crap. 7 weeks playable, good impressions, ready on launch day. That's nuts. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming to Switch 2. That was rumored for a very long time. It is happening. And Square Enix was also like, we'll have more to say about those Final Fantasy. We'll have more to say about the Final Fantasy VII Remake family of games later on. So that means the second remake is going to come to Switch 2 as well. We just don't know when, but they're giving the first one breathing room. And I saw screenshots and we saw footage. Looks as good as the PS4 version to me, but who am I? Some internet idiot with COVID and a grumbly voice and a stupid beard. Capcom announced Street Fighter 6 is coming to Switch 2 with it's the years 1 and 2 fighter edition, so extra content in there. Exclusive modes like local wireless 1v1 and avatar matches. And there's Amiibo coming out. And there's Amiibo cards coming out. And it's a launch day title. So there you go. Switch has been getting, or Nintendo's been getting, or no, Switch, I should say specifically, has gotten Street Fighter games, but it's like Street Fighter 2 classic stuff and all that. Nice to get the most recent Street Fighter game. And I saw a comparison video today of the PS4, PS5, and Switch 2 versions. I saw it very quickly. I need to go back and look later. It looked good to me. Civ 7 is coming to Switch 2. It's a Switch 2 edition. I don't know why it's like it wasn't in the video where they announced it. They didn't really say it like that, but it's a Switch 2 edition. But it will have improved graphics and it has mouse controls, as I said. Hogwarts Legacy is coming to Switch 2 on launch day. Oh, Civ 7 is launch day. Hogwarts Legacy is launch day as well. Mouse support, improved graphics and audio, seamless map load time. So basically, it will be like it is on other systems. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster. So the 3DS game is coming to Switch 2 on launch day. Quality of life updates. 2 new mini games that use the mouse controls. Obviously, improved graphics. Hold on 1 second. I needed a good cough to get my voice back. See, that's better. So again, launch day. Borderlands 4 coming to Switch 2 in 2025. I didn't say anything about Switch 2 exclusive features or anything. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, which is already coming to Switch, is coming to Switch 2 sometime this summer. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut is coming to Switch 2 launch day with never-before cutscenes, the new Red Light Raid online multiplayer mode, which can be played solo. Director's Cut. There you go. Fortnite, baby. All it says is Fortnite on Switch 2 launch day. Doesn't say, like, details. Enter the Gungeon 2 was announced, featuring a new 3D art style, weapons, and new gameplay tricks. Coming to Switch next year. Hitman World of Assassination on launch day. So that's Hitman, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3. Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition on Switch 2 launch day. Also, the same developers, whatever. Why can't I remember their name? The same developers have been working on that 007 game, the James Bond game. They announced that that's going to go to Switch 2 as well. We learned that Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions is going to Switch 2. Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, so a sequel to Daemon X Machina on Switch. Brand new sequel coming to Switch 2. Survival Kids, that franchise, Konami's bringing that franchise back for Switch 2. I think that's launch day. Star Wars Outlaws. So I expected more from Ubisoft. We got just one thing. Star Wars Outlaws for Switch 2. Hollow Knight Silksong for Switch 2. Really no surprise there yet. And only the 2025 release date. Still nothing specific. And And another moment that made me tear up. It's all I needed. Deltarune. Deltarune chapters 1 and 2 are out now. I've been dying to get Deltarune chapter 3. I'm like, where is it? Toby Fox has been saying, we're getting close. We're doing testing. In the back of my mind, I was like, is this going to be a direct thing? Fingers crossed. Is this going to be a Switch 2 thing? Well, it was. And it was actually in the direct. Chapters 1, 2, which are out now, plus 3 and 4 are coming to Switch 2 on launch day, June 5th. So chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, it will be $25, but that will be the price of the game on every platform and the price for all, and that includes all extra chapters. So say the game's got 8 chapters, you're paying $25 no matter what, and you'll get chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8 at no additional cost. So that's launch day. So my launch day for Switch 2 is going to make in reality, I'm going to say my credit card weep because I'm going to charge a lot of it. I'm getting Deltarune. I'm getting Donkey Kong. I'm getting Mario Kart. What else am I getting? Split Fiction. Fortnite, but that ain't no money. I'm scrolling back up just to see what I'm going to get. Oh, I'm getting the Nintendo Tour. Why do I keep forgetting the name of that game? Sorry, I'm having like a brain fart here. I apologize. That looks like it, though. I think that's about it. I got to do another pass through, but that sounds about right. That's a lot of games to get. I'm not complaining because you know, I like games, but that's a lot for a day one. Switch 2 Welcome Tour. That's the name. Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Switch 2 Welcome Tour. I don't know why that name doesn't stick with me. That was your direct. And everyone was happy and everyone cheered. And then the price came out and everyone hated Nintendo forever. And Nintendo was doomed, but this time it was for real. And Nintendo left gaming. And then Sony bought them. And then Mario was given guns. And Link became Kratos' son in God of War. And Kirby got a realistic makeover. And the rest is history. I won't keep going. It's a little inside news for you. I'm telling you, Nintendo's future. So that's that. I'm going to cough again. That's right. Kirby Nightmare Fuel. That's the name of the game. I'm sure I could think of funnier things if I wasn't off the top of my head here or I had some breathing room. But where my brain is at and how much energy I got and being a one-man show, that's what you get. Now the question is, oh, game cards. I want to talk about game cards. I remembered. Let me bring up the old GoNintendo here because I want to make sure I discuss this properly because it's another point of misinformation that pissed me off. I'm pissed. So Nintendo announced game key cards for Switch 2. What are game key cards? Well, it's pretty much something you already know about, but a little different. And call me a fanboy, but I would say a little better. All right. Let's start from the beginning, and that starts with a sip of water. Games on Switch. If you are buying physical, sometimes you get the full game on a game card. There are other times where that doesn't happen. You get what is called a code-in-box release. That means you buy a physical game box, but inside you have a digital game code. So it is just for those who like to keep a physical box. Not the best situation, of course. Everybody would rather it was on a full game card, but prices and all that, it is what it is. You get a physical representation. It is what it is. It's a solution. It's not the finest solution, but it's a stopgap. Switch 2 takes that idea and reshapes it. And I would say, in some ways, better than what is on Switch. Wake up over here, computer. So here's what you do. Game key cards on Switch. You go to the store, physical game boxes. The games that are game key cards have clear labeling on them to say this is a game key card. Inside the box is a game card. You put that game card in your system. The game card even has a little key icon on it to let you know for sure this is a game key card. But it works almost exactly as code in boxes do. You put the game card in your system, you download the game. Now, I need to do more research on this. I am not sure if the game key card has any actual data on it. Is there a situation where the bulk of the data is on the game card and you still need to download stuff to actually play? Sure. I don't think that's the case. I'll look to you, chat. I'm not sure. For the sake of this argument, let's say nothing's on the game card. So by and large, it's a different way of doing the exact same thing that has been happening on Switch. You're paying for the plastic. That's it. Sinfield, you're paying for the plastic. Now, RMC, you said this is better. Why is this better? Here's why I think it's better. With a Switch code in box release, you cannot do anything with that game afterwards. You can't you can't trade it in. You can't sell it to somebody on a third party marketplace. You can't go to GameStop and trade it in. You can't resell it in any way, shape, or form. Physical games, you can do that, obviously. You can trade in your games for other games or sell them online for cash. With a game key card, you now have the ability to trade it in. That's unless there's, it is Nintendo. Maybe we'll find out down the road that, once you do this, that's it. It's yours forever. But they haven't said that, and it doesn't appear to be the case. So you could at some point trade this game in. Now, will trade-in value of a game key card be different than just a regular game on the card? Full game on the card? I don't know. It's not for me to decide. Could be. But this is better than code in box because you will have that option. Just looking at the chat to make sure I'm not missing anything. Buying a game key card is worse than buying a game card. Yes, I will agree with that, 10 Division. Who benefits from the existence of the key card? What reason is there for these to exist when they're going to piss people off? Well, again, it's better than code in box. This is something you can't do with code in box. B, there are plenty of people who don't really care about having to download, like they just want a game box to have. That's why people kept putting those games out on Switch, because they sold. People wanted a physical box for their collection to display on their shelf as a reminder that they have this game. Teams or people did that because companies did that because they sold. So that's why we're seeing it continue on Switch 2. I would say it's just a little bit better. Still, best world would be game on a game card, full game on a game card. No argument for me there. I agree. Full game on game card is infinitely better. But this is better, in my opinion, than code in box. Yes, there will be third parties who decide they don't want to spend the money on a full game card game, and they'd rather have a retail presence with a game key card release. So they will go that route. But they did the same thing with the Switch. They're like, making a Switch game card is too expensive, but we want retail presence, so we'll do code in box. They did that, and it worked. People bought it. Again, it's a vote with your wallet situation. So to say that this is totally different from what's going on Switch, it's not. It's slightly different, and I would argue a little bit better in one way, but it's by and large roughly the same thing. The backlash to this, I don't get. Where people are like, Nintendo's making $90 and $100 games, and now you get games that aren't even on the cartridge. You get a physical game and there's no game there. Where have you been during the 8 years of the Switch? You're telling me you don't care about Switch, you don't play Switch, you don't know what's going on with Switch because you have a disingenuous argument. We've lived this for 8 years on Switch. You're not one of the 153 million people who bought a Switch and actually, or some of the audience that actually plays it. There's 153 million Switch owners. Nintendo says something like 120 plus million are active. By active, they mean they play at least one game throughout the year. Let's be, let's knock the numbers down a lot. Let's say 70 million people are playing their Switches on a regular basis. You're telling me you're not one of the 70 million regular active Switch owners if you are a Switch owner. But I don't think you're really playing Switch at all anyway. And I think some of you don't even have a Switch. You're just doing fake outrage to be like, $90, $100 games. Now I'm going to get a cartridge that doesn't even have the game on it. I think you're being disingenuous. I think you're being ignorant to what has existed on Switch. I'm not saying a game card with a full game is not better. It is. It's better. Hands down. I'm not going to say it's not better. It is better. I'm saying game key card is slightly better than just code in box because now you have the ability to trade in or resell. That's a talking point worth talking about. Your argument about Nintendo's doing this now and it's crazy, you don't know what was going on Switch, or you're pretending to not know, or you're ignorant to it, or you're just muckraking and rage baiting because it gets you views and attention. It's my 2 cents. So there you go. Main character syndrome, says Blood Ocean. Yeah, for some people, certainly. But as a phrase that old people say is, your whole ass is showing. You're putting your argument out there and you're making it completely obvious that you don't really know what's going on with the Switch 1. Because you're acting like this is a new thing for Switch 2. Game key card is a new thing, but what it does is serving the same purpose that was on the Switch that we saw with hundreds of games, albeit now the consumer has a little bit more flexibility. Full game card game all the way. This is a little bit better of a bad situation that has existed for 8 years. And I saw someone say people are being disingenuous because there are plenty of games on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 where you buy the disc and you still have to download the majority of the game. That's true. That's 100% true. You just don't hear it talked about as much. It's true. The difference is it's easier for companies to put out disc-based games because they're much cheaper than game cards. But yeah, you get games on PS5, and I'm not talking about like day one updates or anything like that. There's plenty of games on those systems where you get a disc, but you still need to download parts of the game to actually play it. And when it comes to first-party games, Nintendo's going to put the full game on the card. I don't see Nintendo doing game key cards. Maybe they will in certain special instances, but first-party games are going to be on a regular traditional game card. That's just what I believe. All right. We did all that. We're at that time, my friends. We're at that time. I'm going to give one quick glimpse, and this will be my downfall, of top stories to see if there's anything else I want to hit on. But I think we did the damn thing. There's so much more to talk about in general, but as far as what needed to be covered here and a one-person show and the state of my voice, um, I think we're good. What's this here? My dilemma. Solmaster Link says my dilemma with Nintendo is to switch to enhanced games physicals. I understand there are dilemmas there. Solmaster Link, what is your particular dilemma? I'd like to hear that. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I just want to know what you're talking about. Nintendo never said if there's Hall effect joysticks, thumbsticks in Switch 2. They said Switch 2 has been Switch 2 Switch 2 Joy-Con have been rebuilt from the ground up, and it's a smoother control experience. They won't say Hall effect sticks. I tried to get comment from my rep. She gave me the old zip lip. So Nintendo's not talking about it. New York Times said it had a Hall effect. We reported on that, and I said, I don't believe them. They fixed the article later and said, other places are saying it has Hall effect. So shame on them. They made a mistake. They corrected it, and I don't believe they even said they corrected it. So whoopsie on their part. Battery life on Switch 2 is like a little bit over 2 hours to 6.5 hours, depending on the game you play. There's that. Holy crap. I think we did it. I think we did a good job here. There's way more to talk about, like discussions about the games and their contents and the craziness that happened and all that. But I think for the purposes of this show, where I'm at, hi Eggman, it's good to see you. I'll read your comment once I finish this thought. I think this was a good one, a good thing to do. I think what was covered was important stuff to cover, and by this time next week, we'll be in a whole new world, and I'll have more people here. So that's good. Eggman, just catching up, but I want to say, I know it's been a stressful week with all the Switch 2 chaos and COVID, so I hope things improve for you soon. Thank you, Eggman. I appreciate that. Right after this podcast, I'm going to drink tea. I'm going to eat food. I'm going to take a nap. I'm lying. I'm going to do all that, but first I'm going to go make sure there's not news to cover, and then I'll do all that. I'm a creature of habit. Then what I'd like to do is eat, take a nap, and wake up and play some Fortnite. That's what I want to do. I want to feel normal. This was a lot. But it made me feel normal always. And you guys have been so nice today. Thank you. As I said, and I embarrassingly got choked up about and teared up about earlier, your support of GoNintendo is always appreciated. The site, the podcast, social media, Patreon, emails directly, whatever it is. It's always greatly appreciated. But boy, did you guys show up this week. I've been doing this for over 20 years. To have it as my main, no, I shouldn't say main job, to have it as my only job. This is my career. This is my profession. I'm not a journalist. I'm a blogger. I would never call myself a journalist. But to have this for 20 years and still be relevant for people and to still be visited, frequented, shared, liked, I mean, like, click like, subscribed to, downloaded, read, trusted. Man, if you're watching the video right now, you're getting a show. I'm sorry. It's a lot. In a good way, it's a lot. Sorry. This week was really tough. It was really tough, but you guys really showed me why it was worth it and why all these years have been worth it. Sorry. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. I never have. I never have. Everything I get to do, any hardships that I go through, I know they're first world stuff. I talk about video games. I complain about video games. I go to events to play video games. I write reviews about video games. I've gotten to talk to developers and meet people that I've held in high regard for years. I've loved video games since I was a little kid, and I get to do this for a living. And I have you guys to support me. It's mind-boggling. It's not something I could have ever imagined. I'm so incredibly lucky. And this week was shit because it was so much to cover, and was more sick than I've ever been. And I fought through it because I wanted to, and I want to do that for you guys, and it's my job. And to have you guys support that, and to have an amazing team working with me, everybody that does impressions and news and reviews and features. This is not a religious thing. I'm just saying I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have all you people. I'm not a religious person, so I don't mean it in that way, but I am blessed to have all of you around me. I couldn't do this if I didn't have that support, because this is how I make a living. This is how I don't live an extravagant life, but between MomBrain as a teacher and me doing this, we don't make tons of money, but we make enough money to get by. And that's unbelievable. And it's just because you guys read the site or go to social media, watch on YouTube, or go the extra mile on Patreon. Obviously, the main bulk of it is from people coming to the site and reading stuff, but little bits here, little bits there. They all add up and come together and make this happen. It's not what I went to college for. I only did 2 years of college. Man, it's something. So thank you. I'm done being a little bitch. Solamaster Link wants me to see something. And then I'm getting the hell out of here. Solamaster Link says, to my understanding, it is a Switch 1 cart in the box with a download code. Oh, yeah. Solamaster Link, we posted about that today. It's a rumor. I reached out to my rep for comment on that, because I know I believe that came from a Nintendo UK customer service rep. Customer service reps have gotten things wrong in the time, and like to an egregious degree. I'm not saying that's the case here, but that's the only information we have to go on right now. So yeah, I put out comment for my rep. It's going to be answered at some point. Usually when Nintendo does statements, they'll get a lot of requests from press, and they'll put out a refined statement, and then they'll email blast it to everybody at the same time. So that's probably what's going to happen here. But there will be a response on that. So the requests are out there. We'll get an answer. I did my due diligence, and I tried to get one. As soon as I hear you, you guys will know. I'll put it out there. So yeah, it's an important question to ask, and it's been asked, and it's an important thing to get answered. So we will have an answer. All right. That's that. I'm done with this terrible voice. I'm done crying. I'm done complaining about video games. I'm done being a corporate shield, as I know some people will say. That's it. That's your episode, people. 3 hours and 12 minutes of just me, you poor people. Don't really stick around for an after show. It might be a couple seconds, but that's it. That's it, friends. We're done. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As long as we test COVID negative, we'll be back next week no matter what, but with people. We're going to do it up. I want to have calls from people. I want to have more people at the show than usual physically. We're doing it up. It's the time to do it. The countdown to Switch 2. What's going to fall apart in between now and then? Who knows? But that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. After show. Oh, yeah, like I said, I'm spent. I'm done. I need to eat. I need to rest. People need to shop. Thanks for putting up with my voice. Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully I didn't sniffle and cough too much into the mic. Whew. My throat is killing me. But that's all I got. I talked your ear off so much. Thanks for putting up with it. Thanks for being here live. I hope you enjoyed it. But But yeah, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'm sorry for not sticking around more, but I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. What am I doing? Play some games, hang out with friends and family, rest, relax. You deserve it. I'll be back next week. And that's it. I'll do Du's kiss, of course. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Mwah. Goodbye.